Dealers proudly sponsoring WA Sports and Chicken Treats.
I got the taste.
What a week it's been for our Perth Wildcats. 3 games scheduled in 6 days in 3 different cities. Tonight, at home, the Wildcats take on NBL cellar dwellers, the Geelong Supercats. The visitors boast some fine talent, but have been unable to click in 93. The Wildcats are sure to be on guard just in case Geelong decide to put it all together tonight. The big cats of the NBL, Wild and Super. Live from the Perth Entertainment Centre.
And hi everyone, we're back at the Perth Entertainment Centre tonight with the Perth Wildcats at home up against the Geelong Supercats. It's week 20 of the NBL's regular season. Tonight the Wildcats will be looking to bounce back after losing to the Sydney Kings and Melbourne Tigers on the road, while Geelong go into this game as last start winners. Well, let's have a look at the standings then. Remembering the playoffs are just 4 weeks away now. Magic head the table with a 17-5 record. The Wildcats with a similar record this year, but they trail Magic in terms of percentage. Brisbane and the Melbourne Tigers in 3rd and 4th spot. They're the main dangers at this stage. And rounding off the top 8, we've got Canberra 11-11. Over the page to the bottom 6, North Melbourne and the Gold Coast Rollers pushing up for a spot in the top 8. And there we see the Geelong Supercats, second last on the ladder. 4-17 their record, but they have lost 5 games by 5 points or less, so they're much better than that record indicates. Head-to-head favours the Wildcats by a narrow margin, 12 games to 11. They last met in June of this year, and the Wildcats beat Geelong by 17 points. Now it's time to welcome John Gardner. John, the Wildcats for the first time this year lost 2 games in a row. What went wrong against the Kings and Tigers?
Well, I think there's no doubt that the Wildcats went across to the eastern states and they ran into a couple of buzzsaws, mainly behind some very tough defence, aggressive defence that were banging people through the keyway. Bad enough on the Sunday, but it was even worse on the Monday night as the Melbourne Tigers really put the game to them, and they'd be very disappointed with those 2 results, obviously.
The Wildcats will want to bounce back tonight, no question about that.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. They've got to show all the character that they've shown in recent years. Only 3 games to go to the playoffs. They know how important this game is. I believe practice on Wednesday night was as tough as they've had all year. They were sore and sorry after that, but of course tonight they're here to make a statement against a team that's second last in the league, but a team that's very, very dangerous.
Yes, what about Geelong minus Vince Hinchin? It's a blow.
Well, any club that can see Vince Hinchin, who's averaged 14 points per match, not in their roster tonight, is going to suffer. And Hinchin's such a great athletic swingman that his loss will certainly hurt them. But they're struggling in other areas too. I suspect we won't see a lot of changes, maybe only 5 or 6 players used, but very dangerous when you're down that low on the ladder.
Right, John, let's have a look at these 2 teams in terms of facts and figures. What do you read out of this?
Well, if you look at the top statistic there, you can't read much else except they're very, very close. Field percentage favours the Wildcats, and they've been a good shooting team all year, even though they suffered in that category last week. From the foul line, they've been excellent. They lead the league. 3-point territory, they're slightly ahead of the Geelong Supercats. Rebounds, they should have an advantage. They've got that much touted front wall. And in the area of turnovers, they seem to be much, much better at protecting the ball. Statistically, they are the better team. They are in second position on the ladder. It remains to be seen if they can take those stats out onto the floor.
And let's have a look at the 2 coaches then, Adrian Hurley and Jim Calvin. John, can you make a case for Geelong tonight?
Well, you can always make a case for Geelong, because with such a team of shooters, with Branch and Morrison in particular, they can light up from any case. Look at that Jim Galvin. 2 wins only, 11 losses. He's been with them after the demise of their coach earlier in the year, Steve Breeny. It remains to be seen whether he stays on next year.
Okay, thanks, John. Let's cross to our sideline commentator, Mike Ellis. Mike, Geelong boasts 2 players with NBA experience.
Yes, that's right, Peter. Geelong host an array of both talent and experience. As you said, Morrison and Branch both having NBA experience. 2 very, very fine players, especially offensively, and that's an area where the Wildcats are going to have to contain both those players tonight to win this game. We'll have a look at both of those players' stats tonight. Firstly, with Morrison against Grace. As you can see, Morrison averaging 21.9 points a game, a little ahead of Grace, but Grace is certainly holding his end up with 7 assists, and Morrison down to 4, which is still not a bad average. Probably the problem with the Geelong Cats tonight is the fact that their assists are down, probably the lowest in the league. But this will be a great matchup between Grace and Morrison, and really watch for some fireworks there. If we move to the next guys, with Adrian Branch against Scott Fisher. Branch, I think it's about 4th in the league in scoring at 25.6. And Scott Fisher not very far behind him, but of course Fisher a far better rebounder. Now this game will be an interesting one as far as Fisher and Branch go, but do not be surprised, Peter, to see Andrew Vlahoff taking a little bit of time off Fisher on Branch.
Okay, Mike, yes, Vlahoff certainly pumped up after a disappointing weekend last weekend. We're standing by now for the announcement of tonight's starting 5s.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to introduce to you the starting 5 for tonight's NBL clash. Starting with the IOOF Supercats, wearing number 7, Michael Morrison. Wearing number 8 for the IOOF Supercats, Wayne Larkin. Wearing number 15 for the IOOF Supercats, Ray Borner. Wearing number 24 for the IOOF Supercats, Adrian Branch. Wearing number 32 for the IOOF Supercats, Cecil Exu. Head coach for the IOOF Supercats, Jim Calvin. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to introduce to you the starting 5 for our own Perth Wildcats. Wearing number 7, starting in the position of center, James the Alabama Slammer Crawford. Wearing number 10 for the Perth Wildcats, starting the position as forward, Trevor Double T Torres. Wearing number 15 for the Perth Wildcats, starting the position as guard, Ricky the Amazing Gray. Wearing number 21 for the Perth Wildcats, starting the position as forward, Andrew Law. Wearing number 30 for the Perth Wildcats, starting the position as forward, Scott the Fish Fisher. Head coach for the Perth Wildcats, Adrian Early. Referees tonight, Cliff Brett, Jeff Leaks, and Jeff
And
Schultz.
confirming those starting 5s in the Wildcats game with their steadiest lineup all year. Torrance, Grace, Vlahoff, Fisher and Crawford. A big test for Geelong.
Well, there's no doubt about that. But Morrison Larkin's one of the smallest players in the NBL. Branch, of course, we made mention of his NBA experience. Exum, most underrated, and Borner, an Australian postman from way back. They will certainly test that first 5.
Out of the benches, John, interesting stat this one. The Wildcats bench averages, in fact, totals 583 NBL games. Geelong, that quartet of players, can muster just 30.
Very, very inexperienced, and as you can see, they're one short on their roster. I don't think we'll see much subbing tonight.
And the referees tonight, Jeff Weeks, Cliff Brett and Jeff Schultz. Pretty good crowd in. It's second top versus second bottom. Geelong facing the acid test, but they have improved in recent weeks, going down narrowly to Brisbane and last weekend causing an upset, beating Canberra, while the Wildcats on the rebound, losing 2 on the road last weekend. They've got first possession. Crawford up against Borner.
Well, it's a great start, of course. Little isolation play there. Ray Bourne, not the most mobile of players. Crawford isolated on the right-hand side. Crawford takes a step one way, comes back in. The contact occurs there. Crawford is in the act of shooting, is given the favour of the continuation, gets the first 2 points of the game.
Mike, what did you make of the Wildcats' form last weekend?
Well, it was fairly ordinary to say the least, Peter. It was just, they just looked very flat to me, I must admit, and they're going to have to come out at the opening of this game and make sure they really get pumped up early.
Attitude good during the week?
Yes, it wasn't too bad. I think a little disappointed, obviously, and they should be, so they're going to come out strong, I know that.
Morrison couldn't put the shot away. Borna and Torrance, well done Torrance, kept it alive. Fisher sends Crawford away. Blahoff to the hands of Crawford. They turn the ball over.
Maybe one pass too many. Wildcats in front of their home crowd really have to reassert themselves. They've only got 3 games on the court before the playoffs, and they want to get back to top form. Were really outshot last week, and as well as outshot, they were shut down in the second half in each game, so we'll watch that closely.
Exum goes inside, Branch over Vlahoff. And again, Geelong can't score, and Torrance sends Grace away when they last met week 11. Wildcats won that match by 17 points. Crawford from close range. Fisher's there to tip it in.
They had plenty of room to tip that ball in. It'll be most interesting to see what the coaching tactics are here tonight, Michael. I'd imagine the coaching staff, Hurley and Hancock, will be very, very keen to get a firm grip on this game and stay there all the way through.
Well, they certainly don't want to give Geelong a sniff because they've got a lot of talent out here, and these guys can certainly put some points on the board. Their biggest concern, John, is, from what I can see, is defence. They're going to have to find a way to shut down the Wildcats.
Well, both clubs averaging the same number of points, and it was evident last weekend in the East that the Wildcats were a good 10 points down on their average. So it'll be interesting to see if Geelong can muster the same sort of defensive attitude.
And the Supercats on the board now. Vlahoff thought about the three-pointer. Low post Fisher. Too much height with Exum. He went looking for Torrance, and the Cats give up the ball. That game in week 11, a 17-point margin. The Wildcats' big four scored 23 points or more. Exum baseline to Branch from short range, and the scores are locked up early going first quarter.
We'll be free-flowing. Let's see if we can pick up the defence for you out there. It's still man-to-man at this stage, although they look like Geelong, that is, may have come back into a 2-1-2 zone, and I'd suspect with their short roster, they'll probably play a lot of zone tonight.
It's in the hands of Grace. Fisher in the key way, lost control of it. Vlahoff's there. Was that an assist from Fisher to Vlahoff?
Yeah, good assist there by Fisher. Caught Vlahoff on the baseline. Andrew Vlahoff with just a little bit more intensity tonight. He looked very tired to me last weekend.
What about his weekend? By his standards, very poor.
Well, he only scored 12 points against the Tigers, and more importantly, he looked fatigued to me, just mentally and physically down. He's had a bit of a break. I'm sure he'll come back big and strong tonight.
Ray Warner with his first points tonight. Grace kicks it out to Vlahoff. The Cats with a determined look. Torrance for 3, didn't miss by much. Defensive board to Borna. He's in the top 10 in the league this year in that category. Here's Branch. That'll be called against Grace.
There we go against Grace. Nice crossover step there from Branch as he changed direction. Grace did it all right, except he put his hands in. Couldn't resist the temptation. He's in good shape up until here. Then he steps across with the left hand. That'll send Branch to the foul line.
Interesting against the Tigers, Mike, where Copeland had the better of Grace in the second half. And the momentum went Melbourne's way with Grace a little bit quieter than usual.
Yeah, it was certainly something that Ricky was a little disappointed with. He certainly had Copeland's measure in the past, and it was something that, you know, he wasn't too impressed about. But unfortunately, with Copeland getting off like that, it just lifted the rest of the Tigers team.
Branch averaging 26 points a game, the 5th best in the league. But not too flash from the line.
Not too good. He'd be disappointed with that one. Barely 3 minutes expired. All the scores are tied up right here, 6 apiece.
Torrance, the steal by Morrison. He'll go all the way. Controlled it well at the end, and he's given Geelong a 2-point lead.
Yeah, almost lost the handle there, didn't he?
I think he passed it to himself, didn't he, John? Looked like it.
Looking for a little bit of help.
Looking for the assist as well.
Double stats.
Grace to the corner. A lot from Torrance tonight. Vlahoff double-teamed in the paint. The dish to Crawford. The short jumper, too short. The offensive forward to Vlahoff. Nice assist again to Fisher, who puts it away.
2 assists there for Vlahoff. Of course, the offensive rebound, and then the pass to Fisher underneath.
Yes, Andrew was very disappointed the way he went on the weekend. He felt, Mike, that he needed to show a bit more leadership.
Well, that's it's a tough thing to do, Peter. You've got to try and concentrate on playing, and if you're thinking too much about leading the team, then your game falls. What you've got to do is just try and lead by example.
That's a bonus for Geelong. Larkins hitting a 3.
Yeah, well, Larkins can shoot from outside, and Wayne Larkins will see a lot of time this game, and he's a very aggressive player. And talking of aggression,
Cecil Exum said,
and
hello,
James Crawford just had a little tete-a-tete in the middle. It takes me back to that situation in Melbourne where Crawford was the recipient of a lot of tough contact out there. Simmons and Sibley were both very keen to bang him.
Guys, what about the referee in that game against the Melbourne Tigers? The Wildcats after the game felt they were hard done by.
Well, there was a lot of contact, and I think a lot of things were left. Michael, you were watching it. What did you think?
Well, it was a very physical game, and in those sorts of games, it's pretty tough to work out which one you're going to call, and, you know, there might have been some going one way or the other, but the Tigers had the flow, and quite often when that happens, they get the calls that they need too.
Yeah. Crawford second, didn't go. Geelong lead 11-9 early going first quarter. Not much pace in this game as yet, John.
No, I don't think there's any doubt that Geelong will run the break when it's there, but they won't force the pace. They'll try and cushion these 5 players in particular through most of the 40 minutes. Well, all of the quarters, I should say. There's no doubt in my mind that these players are set for a long night. And, of course, they've got another game in Adelaide tomorrow night, so it's a really big road trip.
On the Doomsday double. Geelong on the road, not too flash this year. 4-17. That's the second worst record away from home. The Wildcats this year 17-4. In fact, that's Geelong's overall record, 4-17. Now here's Larkins. Warner wants it low post, crying out for the ball. Exum ran into a brick wall. Charge against Exum. It's a Wildcats ball.
Offensive, good defense out there at the time. Exum just a little bit anxious here. He goes round the pick and Torrance is there, and well there, of course. The offensive foul goes against Exum. Geelong still leads 11-9.
Getting back to that away record for Geelong. Away from home, they're 2-9. That's the equal worst road record in the league. Hobart, a fraction worse than that. Here's Vlahoff, and he gets the friendly roll.
Home court advantage somewhat, Michael.
Swish. He'll tell you never any doubt.
On this court, John, the Wildcats haven't been beaten in 3 months. They lost in the first week of May, and tonight they're going for their 10th straight victory. Morrison against Torrance, and Warner couldn't control it, and that's a careless turnover by Geelong.
Yes, I think this first quarter is going to be very, very important to Geelong. They haven't got a lot to reach from the bench. That man, Calvin, he's got a huge task as the season winds down. His club is in second last position. Not an awful lot to play for, except maybe positions on the roster next year.
And maybe a job next year as well for Jim Calvin. Here's Vlahoff, stripped of the ball by Warner. No whistle in there. The Wildcats get the ball back. We've got just under 6.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Andrews had a haircut this week.
Well, he needed to bring everything down to help him.
Grace from long range. No good. Morrison's away. Larkins wants it. Grace intercepts the pass. Now Crawford. The Cats will set it up with patience.
It'll be interesting to see whether the Wildcats go inside. I believe they've worked hard on that particular move all week. Being able to penetrate and get that high-low situation going. A little bit of short corner activity.
And we've got a timeout at the Entertainment Centre. Just over 6 minutes remaining in the first quarter. And the Wildcats are up by 2. 13 plays 11.
Football finals on GWN. 12 o'clock Saturday, the Eagles in the elimination against North Melbourne. Then 6:30 Saturday night, the qualifying Essendon Carlton. 12 o'clock Sunday, elimination Hawthorn or Adelaide.
Every day's a brand new experience, different every way.
Love those new wedges.
Chicken feet, we got 320 special, different every day. Monday.
Pretty cool for only $3.20.
This is a great deal.
Wednesday.
That's a $3.20 special.
Thursday and Friday, 320 special. Barbecue.
Every day's my day.
For the West barbecue, chicken taste, chicken treat the place. I got the taste.
Bunbury Holden have bulk purchased 3 only 1992 VP Commodore sedans, standard with automatic transmission, air conditioning, power steering, V6 3.8 litre engines with full security systems. These VP sedans won't last at $21,500, so act now for your choice of silver, blue and red and save over $6,500 on current pricing. Plus, superb finance deals can be arranged with GMAC Finance. Call Bunbury Holden today.
And the sedate start at the Entertainment Centre with the Wildcats leading by 2, 13-11. These two sides just feeling each other out.
Well, I think the pace certainly suits Geelong at the moment. The Wildcats will probably try and go more up-tempo, push the ball down the floor before Geelong set up their zone defence.
Fellas, the big concern Jim Calvin had in that last time out was the fact that we saw that last play with Andrew Vlahoff stepping inside in front of the defence, and a great pass from Fisher. He's very concerned that his defensive team has to get on the high side of that and stop that inside penetration. And you're going to see a few different matchups in their zone from now on.
And the Supercats have made a sub. The youngster Barmentlou's out there at the present time. Geelong bring it down the floor. It's with the man they call the dog, Wayne Larkins.
He'll keep yapping at them all night.
Race in his face, the bounce pass to Porno. Nice block that by Vlahoff. Started well, Vlahoff.
Yeah, Vlahoff would be confident at the moment, as well he should be. This is the second last team on the roster. But if my memory serves me correct, the last time they met, it was almost a shootout. Geelong would not lie down.
Adrian Branch. Vlahoff with the defensive job on him. Now is a block against Borner off the ball.
It's a little eagle screen. Borner just spread the knees a little bit too far apart. I think as a general rule of thumb, the military position out there means that the knees have got to be directly beneath the shoulders. He spread himself far too wide, took the advantage of an illegal pick.
A couple of interesting subs here. The Wildcats are sitting down with James Crawford, and the coaching bench have brought out Martin Catalini. And I've mentioned that sub for the Supercats. Barmentlow in for Exum. Vlahoff, low post and double team. Catalini wants it back. They go to the corner and Grace. And it's the Cats ball from the side. What about those early subs?
Well, it's interesting. I think one of the trends that have developed in recent games is Catalini is coming in consistently and resting James Crawford, and I think that's a very good sub. The other interesting sub is Barmentlow, a young man who's accepted a scholarship to Tucson University, has been in Adelaide, his hometown, and they flew him over from Adelaide tonight because their roster is so depleted.
Reverse layup from Vlahoff didn't come off, and now the Supercats with possession. The Wildcats are up by 2. Borner working against Vlahoff. The fake one way, then the other, and again some good D done by Vlahoff.
Well, Borner's already getting slightly agitated. He's an old campaigner. He'll be there at the finish, but Vlahoff's doing an excellent job with quick hands and good body position.
The Supercats losing Vince Hinchin, Mike. That's really a blow, and I think the Perth fans would have liked to have seen Hinchin tonight.
Well, I'm sure some of them would have. There was an interesting thing regarding that. People were wondering what was actually wrong with Vince. Evidently, he's got some floating bone chips in his ankle, so they're a bit concerned they're heading around towards the Achilles tendon area.
That's
so
surprising.
Getting him taken out.
Surprising he doesn't play with a bit of pain, Mike.
Well, hey, some people can, some can't. It's horses for courses, Peter, but it is an offensive blow to the Supercats, without a doubt. Vince is certainly a player that can light it up from the outside, so, you know, they're going to be missing a little bit there.
Some things don't show on the stats.
Here's Branch for 3.
That's
put off the shot by Vlahoff.
Third block to Vlahoff tonight.
Now Grace down the floor. Inside to Vlahoff, who was double-teamed, and Branch comes up with the steal. The assist to Morrison off the legs of Fisher, and the Supercats get it back. Great dribble that by Morrison. He likes these chances. Great dish to Borner, and they draw a foul.
It's on Torrance. Boy, Vlahoff was in absolutely everything there, including the Geelong Supercats bench.
What about the drive from Morrison, the penetration? Very smart.
That was a sweet little drive, that. Nice little crossover, faked him, drew the defence up and dropped it down to Borner. Actually, he'd be disappointed with Borner not making that basket. He could have made a three-point play instead of just 2 foul shots.
What about Geelong from the foul line, John? 74% this year.
Well, they're not too bad. That's about the average of the league, probably in the top half of it. And interesting, Peter, I think that when I look at the subs, they brought another sub on Geelong. I didn't think they'd sub this freely. They've got Greg Smith on now. He's come on for Larkins.
two of their more experienced players, Exum and Larkins, sitting down, and they're going with a couple of youngsters. Exum about to check back in the game, and Warner sitting down for a rest. He's been in the thick of things to start the game. It's 13 points apiece. There's the time remaining. Crowd not yet involved in this game.
Still very early. I'm sure the Geelong club will not want the crowd to get involved. We saw Melbourne last Monday night what an effect the crowd can have on the visiting team. And certainly Geelong would want to keep the crowd out.
That'll warm them, Mike, when Grace hits from outside like that.
Well, Grace is about third in the league, or I should say fifth in the league in three-point percentages this year. He's doing very, very well, so they can't afford to leave him alone out there.
Wildcats lead by 3. 16 plays 13. Blahoff, baseline, Fisher. Now Blahoff with the offensive opportunity. Fisher, or Catalini, in fact, the rookie came from behind.
Catalini came from the weak side there. Fisher put up a left-handed layup, went across the top. Blahoff got a hand, deflected it down to Catalini, and he comes up with his first points for the night.
Not unlike with their hairstyles, actually, are they? If you look at them closely, Fisher and Catalini got the similar curly hair.
Smith with the ball, loses possession. Blahoff picks it up and Fisher's off to the races.
Will he dunk, John? Yes, the one-handed jam.
I think he thought about it till he heard your comment.
Well, he wants some highlight reel for Monday night.
Shamed him into that. I'm sure we'll hear something about that Monday night.
Way to soup him up, Pete. That was the way to get him going.
Wildcats have got out to a handy 7-point lead. That shot is short, and Grace drags down the defensive board, and he's away through the traffic. Look away past to Catalini. Like him, he's a good play, Catalini.
Catalini hit that first shot. That was excellent. Geelong Supercats need to talk this over. I suspect we have got a timeout. No, the possession has to be inbounds. Now they've immediately called for the timeout. The scoreline favours the Wildcats. 22 over the Geelong Supercats, who are 13, and we'll be back on the other side of this break.
Charlie Sheen, Willem Dafoe, Tom Berenger in the movie that won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Soon in September, Platoon.
Quality Timbers, your WA resource-backed company. If you're building or renovating, come to where the tradesmen shop. We'll help you make it. Or recommend a professional. So start with Quality Timbers. You'll get the best and still save.
In the southwest beef industry, one company stands head and shoulders above the rest. That company is E.G. Green & Sons, the state's leading beef exporter, the leading supplier to the local beef market, and utilising only the latest beef processing techniques, which ensures Harvey beef is amongst the best quality and the best priced beef in the market anywhere in the world. It's no wonder E.G. Green & Sons are proud to be West Australian and proud to be working for all West Australians.
Less than 3 minutes to play, opening quarter. The Wildcats away now to a handy mini break, a 9-point margin, 22-13. Catalini's made a difference.
Catalini, huge difference. Let's watch Fisher, though, as he throws this one down. Not quite elevated the way he would like to, but Catalini in the thick of things right now.
Well, Jim Cowan's a little concerned with Catalini also, fellas. He said the young boys come on and got some second shots, and that's where the big concern is. He said the reason the Wildcats have got the lead is just purely on second shots. You just can't afford to let a team get offensive boards.
Interestingly enough, they have 4 offensive boards, and the Supercats do not have any.
Catalini very much an investment for the future for the Wildcats, and they'll make Warner take it from the side.
That was a timeout, so the ball comes from the side.
Interesting tonight, you would have felt that Adrian Hurley would have wanted to run his bench a bit tonight. Playoffs only 3 or 4 weeks away.
He may well do that, and he may do a lot of it before this game is out, but primarily he wants to record a very, very sound win, and you cannot take for granted a win against such talent as Morrison out there and Branch and Exum. I mean, they can shoot the ball as well as anybody in the league.
Watterson's checked into the ball game. Torrance is sitting down. There's the warning buzzer. Warner from 3-point territory. No good. And Grace now looking to lift the tempo. Runs into a wall. Now he's forced to bring it back out. Just over 2 minutes left in the first quarter. 22 plays 13.
Interesting, for the first time tonight, Geelong have gone to a man-to-man matchup and have abandoned their zone.
Grace against Larkins. Down to 9 seconds, the shot clock. They go to Crawford from long range. Here's Fisher, offensive 40, he gets the 2.
Well, there's no doubt as well in my mind, Michael, that Exum was very, very cautious. He didn't want to get a foul in that situation, because fouls will hurt this Geelong club as the game winds down.
Yeah, they can't afford to get into foul trouble, especially this early in the game. They're just not deep enough to do that.
And Fisher's called for a cheap foul then.
Went down for the double team. Larkins just had too much agility, came back, caused the contact. It was a fairly soft contact. You watch it as Larkin reverses. The Fisher moves out with the left arm. That's why he's called for it.
Wildcats on this court, 9-1. It's the second best home court record in the league. As I mentioned, they haven't been beaten here for 3 months. Magic have the best home court record. They're 10-1 at the tennis centre this year. Morrison, he'll fancy himself against Watterson. Backs his way to the basket. Larkins pulls the trigger for 3. Never on target that shot. And now Fisher feeds Crawford, and Grace touched that, I fancy.
Yeah, just a little bit too anxious. Crawford's eyes were lighting up, Michael, for the old give-and-go play. He wanted to get it back and jam it.
Yeah, you could see it coming up, and unfortunately, you've got to get the give first before you can get the go.
That's right.
We've just got the ref checking with the official bench, and they're about to make a sub. Geelong, and Morrison sits down. So he's certainly ringing the changes, Jim Calvin. Mike?
Well, you know, he's got to try and rest these guys. As we mentioned earlier, Peter, they're not very deep. So if he can make some quick rotations and sort of put the Wildcats off with their matchups, then, you know, he feels he's a chance to stay in this ball game.
If he gets the opportunity, Michael, he'd love to steal this game.
Here's Branch. That was for 2. He put it back to a 9-point deficit. Mike, you were saying?
I think I was saying, no, you're right. Actually, the Wildcats are making a frequent amount of subs out here too, guys.
Bit of confusion too, isn't there? Coming on and off like they're going over the causeway at peak traffic hour.
I suspect that Adrian Hurley's very concerned. He knows how important it is. I mean, the Wildcats, if they win their remaining games, will finish on top of the ladder because they have a better head-to-head record with the Magic. And the Magic have to win their remaining games as well. But he's very concerned here not to give up any easy shots. And he really jumped to his feet very quickly when Branch made that last one.
The Wildcats going with Torrance, Catalini, Crawford, Fisher and Watterson. Here's Catalini, the rookie, to Torrance, who works his way to the foul line, gives it to Fisher, who fires for 2. He'll get his own board back. He went inside to Crawford, but Exum picked off the pass. And Larkins is away down the floor now. Larkins wants to go all the way. Watterson applied the pressure. He's forced to back away. Now it's with Branch to Borner. And now Exum in the keyway, looking for support. Larkins to Morrison. Will he drive on Torrance? Shot clock inside 10 now. Larkins fires for 3. I don't think that's his forte, at least not tonight.
I think Exum's been called for an offensive foul, making space.
Larkins 1 for 3 from outside.
Yeah, and that will send one of the Wildcats, I missed that, probably Catalini, all the way down for a one-on-one.
What about Geelong's outside shooting already, John? 1 from 6 at 17%, so they're pulling the trigger.
Well, they're an average 36% team from the three-point line. In the league this year, they're well down on that, obviously, at 17%. And some of their better shooters are struggling. Larkins has 3. He's not one of their better shooters, but he's taking the majority of the shots.
I guess when you're a rookie, you're on the bench, as he finds a new way to score from the foul line. You can keep the heat off yourself a little bit by scoring when you get a couple of minutes. It's a rare opportunity. Sure. You've got to score, and you can stay on the court then.
Well, there's no two ways about it. Mind you, Larkins can light up from three-point land. He's done it before, and they need tonight somebody like Larkins to find the range because they haven't got enough scorers at this point to do it without Larkins.
Well, great defensive forward to Catalini. We're down to 2 seconds. In fact, there's the hooter, and Geelong get a buzzer beater. At the end of the first change, then, it's a 9-point game. Wildcats lead 26, plays 17 at quarter time.
From Danielle Steele's exciting novel, the story of a family over 5 decades, a fairy tale romance, extraordinary wealth, and uncontrolled passion. A wife trapped by the outbreak of war. She will endure to found a mighty business empire which a new generation will fight to control through happiness, disaster, and cruel deception. Anthony Andrews, Annette O'Toole, and Robert Wagner in Danielle Steele's bestseller, Jewels, over 2 nights, starts 8:35 Sunday on GWM.
Matchmaking services are fast becoming the first and most effective way of finding a partner. On Board is WA's first customer-driven matchmaking service and a member of the Australian Customer Service Association. If you're seeking companionship or a view to a permanent relationship, then we can help you. We specialise in country matchmaking. For further details, call On Board today.
Phone 09 481 5111.
Albany's independent farmer store on the edge of town, Peter Graham Company, gives farmers and townsfolk alike the buying edge and money savings value on general hardware lines as well as tools and plumbing supplies. And Peter Graham Company are the home gardener's friend with everything from reticulation to pine posts. Wherever you live and work, you'll appreciate their quality and value selection of clothing. Even the needs of man's best friend and other pets are at hand at Peter Graham Company, your local bloke from CRT. WA secondary agricultural schools and colleges prepare young men and women for employment in agriculture, natural resource management and allied industries. Agricultural college graduates can continue on to Murask Institute of Agriculture to undertake associate diploma and degree courses in agribusiness, marketing and farm management. Agricultural education, the pathway to a satisfying way of life.
Gonna be a rock and roll singer.
And back at the Entertainment Centre, a 9-point ball game. Wildcats way, 26 plays 17 for Perth. Scott Fisher leads the scoring with 8. Andrew Vlahoff 6. One of the stories of the first quarter, Martin Catalini with 6.
Yeah, super effort, and you did make mention of the fact that when the rookie gets on the floor, he gets to play for longer if he scores and performs well. Got the reward.
For Geelong, Morrison 4, Borna 4, Adrian Branch 4. Mike, what were the messages from the coaches?
Well, from Jim Calvin, his big concern, of course, was the patience and offense. He said they're shooting the ball a little bit quick. They need to take their time there. And, of course, the biggest one was this baseline area where Vlahoff's just exploiting there and the offensive rebound that Crawford's exploiting. So they're the main concerns for them.
No call eventually for Crawford. We've got a huge imbalance in terms of rebounding.
Did you organise this, Ellis, that we could demonstrate here? And I think the point that was made about the rebounding is worth repeating. 18 rebounds, our stats show, to the Wildcats, to a miserable 5 to Geelong, and that's a huge imbalance. You know, if you look at the offensive boards, 8 extra shots they've got off missed shots.
Geelong haven't racked up one offensive board at this stage. Here's Morrison, eyeball to eyeball with Torrance. What will he do? Goes to the top and Larkin. Shot clock inside 10 now. Morrison from downtown, and that dropped.
That's what he does best. He's got huge range, and if, here's Crawford, thought about dunking it, but changed his mind. Saw a little bit of traffic coming over.
The game's starting to lighten up. Vlahoff with the steal, mid-court, intercepted that pass. Fisher likes these chances against the smaller Larkins, and it's a catch ball from the side.
Well, the dog got him, stripped him of the ball as he went through on the baseline. Fisher's having a good first half, 8 points, has 4 assists and 5 rebounds. Good start.
Game's starting to warm up a bit, Mike.
A little bit more excitement in that start, that's for sure. That's what the Wildcats want to do, get an up-tempo style of game.
Grace is sitting down. Watterson's still out there. Watterson's got the ball in the face of Morrison. Where will he go? Again, the shot clock inside 10. The pass picked up by Exum. Morrison, the bounce pass to Exum down the other end. Vlahoff with the block. How do they see that? Goaltend.
Well, I think you will find that that's a foul, obviously, on Vlahoff. Not quite the goaltend. I think it'll... The point I would like to make about it as we watched it on replay, Vlahoff ran the full length of the court, because remember, he threw the pass down the bottom that was intercepted, and he was determined to atone for it at the other end, and he really got back for Exum.
Cecil Exum, the X-Man, a former teammate of North Melbourne's Scott Fisher way back in '89. Championship team. In fact, we've got 3 members of that North Melbourne Championship team playing tonight. Ray Borna and Cecil Exum for Geelong, and of course Scott Fisher for the Wildcats. Geelong not going so well in terms of the foul line, in particular their field shooting.
No, they're shooting very poorly out there, 40% to 50% for the Wildcats, and the Wildcats have thrown up an extra 7 shots. So that's why the imbalance is shown on the score.
Morrison went for another long bomb, Mike. He's not scared to pull the trigger.
Not shy, that's why he's a shooter, Peter. Shooters have no conscience, they just launch the ball.
Torrance is a shooter too, and that was sweet.
That's a very important shot for the Wildcats. I personally believe that Torrance is the factor that spells out the difference between the Wildcats having the ability to get over 100 points each time. If he can come out there and make the first 1 or 2 of his shots, I think they're in good shape.
Larkins and Watterson, a couple of scrappers from way back. Barmentlu, back to Larkins. The fake one way, then the other. It's in the hands of Branch. He's the team's main scorer. Took on Blahoff and got 2.
I've been a bit lucky to get away with that. Andrew Blahoff looked as if he came from behind with a bit of a hand foul.
Geelong on the road this year, John, have beaten the Tigers by 18 points and Sydney by 3. And their other 2 victories at home up against Adelaide and Canberra. They beat Adelaide by 3 and Canberra last week by 6. They've lost 5 games by 5 points or less. That 4-17 record will be a little bit better. Fisher baseline, good move back.
Excellent move from the baseline. Trevor Torrance put a little pick against Branch. He couldn't get down to defend. 33 to the Wildcats. They're leading by 10 over Geelong with 9 minutes to go before half-time.
Morrison to Larkins. Morrison open around Torrance. This is for 2. And the shot is good. And Morrison now has raced to 9.
Yeah, they've got to get on top of Morrison. I'm sure Hurley won't be happy. You can see him in the background of your picture standing up. Morrison is a streak shooter and one of the better ones in the league. Once he finds his range, as Michael said, he has no conscience. He'll keep on pulling the trigger.
Grace is back out there for the Wildcats. Watterson sitting down. Here's Torrance. Confidence up, the short jumper. Scrapping for the ball in the key way. It'll be a jump.
Take a seat, Trevor.
Yeah,
just squatted on the ball.
How's Torrance's ankle, Mike? A few little reports during the week that he had x-rays to check it out.
Yeah, you just, whenever you injure it the way he did a little while ago, you just need to check to make sure there's no floating pieces or spraying, real bad breaks or anything that sometimes go undetected.
Wildcats keen to make a sub. Chris Carroll about to check on, but they didn't allow the sub, and Exum wins the jump and he's given Geelong possession. Who will come off for Carroll?
I'd imagine it might be Torrance.
8:29 left in the first half. 33 plays 25. The Wildcats up by 8 points. This man's an exciting ball player, and so is Crawford.
Crawford got across, anticipated the pass at the top of the key, got a hand to it, just couldn't control the deflection. Otherwise, the ring at the other end of the court might have been in for a little bit of punishment.
Wildcats second on the ladder, Geelong second last. Geelong, we've mentioned Hinchin, not here tonight. Also Alex Attini as well, so their bench well and truly affected. The nice pass from Borna. Grace didn't put it away. Morrison's got the ball back. Baseline, Crawford applying the pressure. Travel against Morrison. Geelong give up the ball.
Put that down to the athleticism in Morrison's mind. The athleticism, that is, of James Crawford forced that travel. And Calvin on the bench of Geelong Supercats, Michael, will be a little disappointed. The great lead and the good bucket that was almost had by Branch, and at the other end, of course, they paid the price.
Yeah, well, Crawford just didn't take the bait, fellas. Morrison threw the fake and he just didn't take it.
10-point game, 35-25. Blahoff to 8 now. Here's Morrison, double teamed over Grace, the shot, and another board. This time to the point guard, and Grace is off to the races. What will he do? To the corner and Carroll. Now Grace thought about the 3. Carroll left wide open for 3. Didn't miss by much. And Morrison now with the steal. The bounce pass to Larkins, the smallest man in the NBL, makes the layup.
Nice assist.
Great pass,
yeah,
wasn't
nice
it?
assist.
35-27, Larkins to 5 now. 8 points the margin, just over 7 minutes left in the first half. Blahoff having a good game. That jumper is short. Fisher looking to control it. Geelong come up with the ball.
Well, the Wildcats had a lot of success in the first quarter and the early part of this quarter by going inside. The last 3 or 4 times down the floor, they've abandoned that game plan. I suspect they need to go back inside where their strength lies.
Earlier this year, the Wildcats scored 129 points against Geelong. That was their highest score of the season. Geelong had the worst record in terms of points given up, and some great defence by Perth then. And now Grace is away. Carroll on the break.
Carroll filled the weak side lane to perfection. Fisher was on the left. Grace just pulled up and dished off a layup.
That'll do Carroll's confidence the world of good.
Yeah, that will help him. He's been down on points production this year. He would like to score a lot more than the 3.7 per game that he averages.
Low post Branch. He's been pretty quiet so far, Mike, as Larkins makes some space, gets his own board back. He's in everything.
An offensive board from the dog.
Yeah, that wouldn't be high on his list of stats, I must admit. But Blahoff, as you said, Peter, is doing a good job on Branch, and there's Doggy making 2 more. But Blahoff and Branch, I've just been watching them down on the baseline. There's a lot of pushing and shoving going on down there. You just want to watch it off the ball for a little while.
Interesting matchup, that, John. I mean, Blahoff was given the opportunity to try out with the Lakers. We know that Branch won a championship ring with the Lakers, so a bit of pride in that, Jewel.
Well, I think also that Andrew has a reputation of being a tough defender. Branch, on the other hand, has a reputation of shooting the ball at any opportunity. So you're right, and this is the great attraction of basketball. You can have these individual matchups going on during the team game.
Blahoff making some space. The no-look pass was meant for Catalini. And he said, shucks, I should have hung onto that.
Yeah, he was unhappy with that. I wouldn't be surprised to see a timeout from the Wildcats soon. They've squandered a couple of good opportunities down there. They want to build to a 15-pointer by half-time, but Geelong, they're still hanging in there.
Haven't been the last couple of seasons, haven't been good for Geelong, Mike. 2 and 22 last year for the Wooden Spoon.
Yeah, well, they're struggling a little bit, and there's a nice move by Morrison. Geez, he takes the ball to the hole very, very well. He's a dangerous player. He can stop and shoot, or, oh, here we go. That's an interesting pass.
Yeah, just a look away to the basket and pass it, unfortunately, and all of a sudden, there's a 6-point margin.
And a timeout called at the Entertainment Centre. 5.5 minutes left in the half. 37 plays 31. Wildcats up by 6.
Saturday, Don Burke enters the Lions' cage with television's legendary entertainer, Tommy Hanlon Jr.
Don Burke doesn't know what a tree is?
Also building a garden path and great gardening tips. New Era Aluminium presents Burke's Backyard.
All fixed. Done a great job. Thanks, son. Come on.
Every day's a brand new experience, different every way.
Love those new wedges.
Chicken feet, we got 320 special, different every day. Monday.
Pretty cool for only $3.20.
This is a great deal.
Wednesday.
That's a 320 special.
Thursday and Friday, 320 special. Barbecue.
Every day's my day.
For the West Best barbecue, chicken taste, chicken treat with face. I got the taste.
Back at the Entertainment Centre, Adrian Hurley wouldn't be happy with that last passage of play with the Wildcats at one stage. John leading by 12. Geelong have got it back to 6.
And of course they have possession after this timeout, so if they score at the other end, get a 3-pointer, very close ball game.
We saw Adrian very angry in the last home game here, Mike. What was his reaction to that last timeout?
Not quite as volatile, that's for sure. He's a little more sedate in that timeout. But his big concern was A, the turnovers, and B, he thinks the offense is a little bit terminal. What's happening is they're getting the ball one side and it's staying there. They need to swing the ball and make Geelong play defense at both sides of the court.
There's no doubt they've come down the right-hand side of the floor most times tonight. And talking turnovers, they have 11, which is very interesting because if you look at Geelong, they have the worst turnover rate of the league, averaging something like 19, almost 20. And already the Wildcats are up to 11 turnovers, while Geelong only have 8.
Strong move by Branch, and he's brought the ball game back to 4, 37-33. Branch with 8. The Wildcats need to score here, John, to just steady the flow.
And the Wildcats are struggling once more with the zone against them, but you see that last passage where Catalini had so much space at the top of the key around the foul line, he didn't convert the bucket, but I think that's where they've really got to direct their offensive effort.
And the field percentage for Geelong has picked up a bit now, up to 46%. It was in the 30s during the first quarter. Here's Morrison, the quick turnaround jumper. That was short. Torrance, the outlet pass to Blahoff. Here's 1-and-1, and great move by Blahoff. Just too much size, and in the end, too clever for the small man.
A little smart. He looked across and reversed the other way because he wanted to see where Larkins was first up. Larkins took the bait, and there was a nice reverse layup.
Hook, line and sinker there, but that was the only chance Larkins had. He was hoping that Blahoff would pass it.
Yeah.
39-33. Blahoff into double figures with 10. Fisher's got 10 as well. Now we've got a call in there against Torrance, I guess.
Good defence by Torrance. He's not as big as Blahoff, obviously. He's trying to deny Branch possession, but in denying possession comes up with a foul. See him getting across there. Sorry, Pete. See him getting that overhead shot, getting across, trying to get in between his defensive player and the guy passing the ball.
Just over 4 minutes and a half. 39-33. 6 points the margin. Larkins for 3, and that rattles down. And Larkins now has got to 10. That's a pretty handy contribution from a man that averages, John, not too many in terms of this year. 5 points a game this year.
He's only been averaging 5. I guess Larkins wouldn't really feel this, but I bet he's happy being the 5th player on the floor, Michael.
Certainly. He's got the break here, Mike. Let's see what he does. Doesn't want to take on Grace. Goes to Branch. He's got 2 to beat.
Stripped of the ball by Blahoff.
Blahoff's hands have been sensational tonight. He's just stripping everything in sight.
Another timeout then. Coach is still unhappy. Adrian Hurley head down. 3.5 minutes to play to half time. The Wildcats lead it by 3.
The Telespin jackpot continues to increase. Now it's reached a mind-blowing $491,138. So go on, scratch yourself a little good luck and watch Telespin. 7:30 Monday on GWN.
When it comes to diesel 4x4 one-tonners, the big choice is between Holden Rodeo and Toyota Hilux. But with 24% bigger power and 23% bigger torque, 7% bigger wheelbase, and a big 3-year factory warranty. The big choice has to be Holden Rodeo cab chassis. Petrol from $19,990 or diesel from $22,499.
Yeah, I know what I'd like. I'd like a whole grain cereal, but nothing too heavy. Or light. Just a nice blend of grains. But it has to be low fat. With some fruit in it. Not a whole orchard, just a sprinkling of sultanas and a little honey.
I think we can manage that.
Thanks.
It's the wholesome, truly satisfying taste of wheat, oats and rye that makes it
Just right.
I'll have what she's having.
not too heavy, not too light. It's Kellogg's just right.
So let me get this right. You've got a meeting in Augusta Monday, supplier visit in Perth Tuesday, Manjimup Wednesday, Mandurah Thursday, then Busselton, Bunbury, quick stopover in Albany, Perth for the weekend, and then you head back to the office Monday? Wow. Who in Australia has over 240 locations and always helps you find a comfy room at a great price? Call Best Western on 008 222 166.
'Cause I'm TNT.
And Adrian Hurley calling 2 timeouts in quick succession. He's seen the team's lead dwindle to 3, 39 plays 36.
Well, he's concerned at the moment that Geelong team in second last position are a dangerous team. Whilst the Wildcats outscored them 129 to 112 last time they met, Geelong still scored 112 points, and if they can stay close, they're going to try and steal it.
Well, the big concern there, fellas, is the fact that Geelong have certainly cut off the supply at the moment for the Wildcats. What's happening is they were making the impression early on the baseline. Now they've cut that off, so the Wildcats need to go to around the foul line and try and do it.
Morrison levels the game with a long bomb again from the corner. Now Morrison has raced to 14. He's hit 2 from outside, and the game is tied up now, 39 points apiece. So the Wildcats under pressure. Morrison with the steal, looking to go all the way, and he straightens the net out at the same time.
Michael, that's a great layup. I know you were close to that and you'll appreciate it, but he slowed the ball down. He knew he would be out-jumped by Crawford. He got his body between Crawford and the ball and controlled the shot. Brilliant move.
All that did was just got Crawford out of step, and that's all you need. You know, just take the big guy out of his step and you make the layup a lot easier.
A foul against Branch, and the Wildcats come up with it from the side, and they trail at the present time by 2, 41 to 39, and it's been Morrison, the big mover for Geelong with 16.
Yep, he's had an excellent quarter. Shooting the ball. Wildcats have got a lot of work to do now, and that's not what they would have preferred. They needed to be out and building on that 12-point lead that they had early.
Grace to Catalini, great assist from Grace, and Catalini making a statement in the first half here with 8 points. That's a career high.
Doing well.
In the NBL anyway.
Yeah. He's doing very well, the boy, actually.
He's going great. Here's Border. He went to kick it out, and Torrance read the pass, and Geelong. Costly turnover. Baseline again, and Catalini in double figures. Well, what about this story tonight? Martin Catalini has raced to 10 points.
Well, he's done it well, and he's been on the end of a couple of good breaks, but he's worked hard too. He's filled the lane, and the Wildcats a little more comfortable, even though they only lead by 2. It could have been the reverse order.
We saw in the first quarter, Catalini gave the Wildcats some spark, and he's done it in the second quarter. Borna wants to take on Grace, went looking for a foul, nothing doing, and now Grace is away. So Geelong's last 2 trips have proved costly, and it's a Geelong ball down the other end now. What about this youngster, Martin Catalini?
Well, potentially an excellent player, a very good player in the State Basketball League, records good scores, but at the NBL level has taken his chances this year and is learning his trade at the very highest level.
Big future, Mike, as we see Morrison go baseline, and that's another terrific move.
That's a great move by Morris again. Tough move, but getting back to Martin, he has got a very big future. Again, this will be giving himself a huge amount of confidence, and there he is again inside on the end of another big pass.
Well, I don't want to take away from Martin, but give credit to the offense. They got Crawford to the high post, put the ball in low, Catalini made the cut, and that's as easy as it should be against the zone that Geelong are throwing up. And if the Wildcats had been applying a little more of that offensive thrust, they'd have been in much better shape than what they are now, because right now it's become a little bit of an exchanging match between Branch and Morrison, and also the big men of the Cats.
And Geelong have taken the lead by a point, 46-45, but it's swung back the Wildcats' way with that 2-pointer from Grace. 47-46 then. Just over 30 seconds remaining, so 2 plays at least in this second quarter remaining. Martin Catalini leads all scorers for the Wildcats with 12. The 19-year-old. No doubt we'll talk about him at halftime. Larkins has a look. See, there's 22 seconds left in the half, 11 seconds on the shot clock. So Perth should get the ball back. It's in the hands of Morrison. Branch. Lahoff comes out. Branch fires for 2. It's short. Catalini and Grace rattle it. Grace has a look. There's 6 seconds left in the half. Torrance in the corner for 2. And that's a handy bucket. And that will see the time count down to half-time. Good way to finish for the Wildcats. And they head to the locker room with a 3-point lead. 49-46. It's half-time at the Entertainment Centre. We'll be back with more shortly.
11:30 Saturday. They're racing against time, hoping to beat the world's best.
There's only one man out there you gotta beat. That's Grant Kenny.
Determined to outdo each other.
I could beat Adam on the run and match him on the ski leg. You never have. I've never tried.
Brother versus brother.
He beats you at everything you ever tried. And this is how you get back at him, isn't it?
The Coolangatta Gold, a September sizzler. 11:30 Saturday night on GWN.
Answered my mobile phone and started ringing, and forklift just come around over top of me. It was actually parked up on top of me for a bit, about 20-25 minutes before they got another forklift to lift it off. I got my leg cut off and they sewed it back on. That's all I used to live for. Come home, play with the kids on the weekend, and I've got no future. I've got I must probably spend the rest of my life on the dole, because who's going to hire an invalid?
Authorised by Peter Fitzpatrick for the Law Society of WA Perth.
Every week, country harness racing clubs present exciting pacing, supported by GIO Australia. There's always plenty of action and great chances to win. Pacing on Friday is at the Golden Mile, brought to you by Gill Smash Repairs. At Wagen on Saturday, the feature race is the Alexander Galt & Co Stakes, while pacing at Pinjarra is presented by the Ron Gibbons family, owners of Top Stallion Love You Perth. And on Wednesday, there's more great racing at Northam. Country harness racing for top action.
Toyota strong, Toyota proud, Toyota at its best.
Mandurah Toyota, super deals on the biggest range of sedans, commercials and four-wheel drives. A super service division boasting factory-trained technicians and a huge range of genuine parts. Mandurah Toyota, 20 years of service, strength and reliability second to none. Mandurah Toyota is Toyota at its best.
Toyota strong, Toyota proud, Toyota at its best.
It's amazing. It's unbelievable. In fact, it's extraordinary. Albany Interiors Carpet Hotline are having a relocation sale, and you can carpet your whole home for $730. They have fantastic specials, such as hundreds of room-size pieces, all heavily discounted. Vinyls from $11 a square metre, carpets from under $10 a square metre, some only $6.50, and quality wool heavy-duty domestic carpet for just $27.50 a square metre. Rush in now to Albany Interiors Carpet Hotline during their relocation sale.
Well, during the first half of the season, Geelong lost 8 games straight. That's the longest losing sequence in the NBL this year, but they are a much improved team in recent weeks. The second half is underway, and rarely does James Crawford lose a tip-off, but he lost that one. He didn't like the way it was thrown up, and Geelong had first possession.
Well, an important possession too. Will they go inside or out? Exum, Branch or Morrison?
Morrison, the star of the first half, goes to Branch, who makes space and from short range pots the bucket, and it's back to a 1-point game, 49-48. Torrance, first half just 5 points. Crawford kept to 5 as well after a good start. Grace to Blahoff, baseline, making space, and he got rid of his boomer teammate Warner.
Yeah, Warner has those early fouls, and he wasn't prepared to come out and bang too hard out there. Geelong still in the zone, Michael.
Well, they certainly are. This team will never give up. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. You know, they're just going to keep coming at them, and the Wildcats have got to lock them up.
Great assist from Fisher to Blahoff, who didn't get the 2, but he drew the foul against Morrison.
Morrison's foul out there. A little bit of role playing out there, Mike, with Fisher bringing the ball down the floor.
You know, these big guys always like to think they're frustrated guards, mate. They all want to be point guards, and you know, I got a big one standing right next to me now.
Yeah, he's about finding where you are. That's about his shooting range lately.
I thought I was the best point guard in the league last year.
Captain gets the first to go down. Wildcats back out to a 4-point lead, 52-48. This Asian League, Mike, we might see Pete return for that, eh?
Well, that's certainly an option, that's for sure. And, you know, I know Pete is very keen to try and get that up and running. What do you reckon, Peter?
I think Mike might make a comeback this year.
I heard they need some experienced guards, Peter. I don't know how true that is.
Ooh, talking about experience, there was Crawford up, got the ball to Exum. Exum had the presence of mind and athleticism to get it back again and score. So there's still only the solitary basket separates these two clubs.
Jim Calvin, what a story that is. He coached in the Middle East, came across on the invitation of the Victorian Basketball Association, rolled up one night at Geelong training, where Steve Bruni quit the club, took the training session. Next day he was the coach of the Supercats. Here's Grace for 3, no good. Morrison doing well at both ends of the court. The outlet pass to Larkins with 10 big first half points. Exum, Warner, the jumper is good. The game is tied up again at 52 apiece. So Geelong second last on the ladder, and they're giving the Wildcats a run for their money.
Well, they're not only giving them a run for their money, they're just exchanging, just trading baskets at the moment. That's not what the Wildcats need. They need to put a little more defensive pressure, be a little more patient with the offense, put the ball inside where the Supercats will have to foul them.
Fisher to 12. Geelong's ball from the side. 54 plays 52. Wildcats with their starting 5 out there. And Geelong have started the half with their starters as well. Warner goes to Branch from the foul line, and again the scores are locked up. So they're trading buckets at the present time, Mike.
Just can't afford to do it, Peter. They really have to lock them up. You know, you can score. They're not having a problem scoring, and that's never really a major problem against Geelong. And there's a charge called on Blahoff. But that's not a problem against Geelong. But you've got to stop them down the other end.
Yeah, Blahoff's come down heavily on that right elbow. The interesting thing in this overhead is whether or not Warner was directly under the basket when the contact was made.
Let's hope he's had that elbow exercised regularly. 54 points apiece, 9.5 minutes remaining third quarter. The crowd wanting to get into the game to lift the home team, who haven't lost on this court for 3 months. They're going for 10 straight on this court. Larkins and Grace. Larkins a real surprise packet, stepping up in the absence of Vince Hinchin. Baseline, Exum, great reject by Fisher, met by Morrison mid-court, and Geelong come up with the ball. No call. And now they go to Branch. Normally pulls the trigger. The jumper No good. Torrance battling hard. Outreach by Borner. Now Exham, who's drawn a foul in the paint.
Well, there's a lot of contact out there, and Exham did very, very well with the body control. But the hand came in from Grace there, reached across. You can see him reaching in here with the right hand, reaching in and grabbing. Well, 3 fouls for Ricky Grace. Scoreline favours the Wildcats 54. No, it doesn't favour them by too much. Geelong 54. Now they're behind. Geelong are up by a point with that foul shot from Exham.
Cecil Exham quiet by his standards in the first half. Averages 17 points a game, which is a big improvement on what he did at North Norwin, and I suppose that comes down to the court time. Started with Geelong. He was a bench player with North Melbourne. Now it's in the hands of Torrance. Crawford with just 5 points so far. Who'd have thought that was possible? Blahoff, one shoot over Branch. They go to Torrance, who's left open. This is the 3. Now he's fouled as well.
Yeah, shot's gone down. Cliff Brett from underneath has called the foul. I suspect it's on Branch.
After the shot, John?
It should be after the shot. And, of course, neither club are in the bonus situation. So the ball goes down, points count, and the Wildcats get possession back.
But Torrance to 8. He's made 2 from 3 from outside. And they need him to fire, Mike.
Yeah, you definitely need Trevor. You need that outside thrust like that from Fisher. That was a big 3 as we speak, Peter.
Well, we spoke about Morrison and Branch having range, but Fisher's got it as well. But he doesn't fire the 3-pointers too often here with the Perth team. He's more of an inside player.
Well, look at that. There's no help defence. And Exham changed his mind. Morrison, good defensive work by Torrance. Nice spin move. Finds Borner underneath. Good hands by Blahoff. He certainly got all of the ball, but on the way down he made contact with the body. Andrew Blahoff comes up with his 3rd foul, and Borner should go to the foul line. You can see it's ball, but after the ball became the arm.
So Ray Borner, well-travelled basketball player, the league's MVP back in 1985. This is his 3rd NBL club. He was formerly of the North Melbourne Giants, had a stint at Illawarra. He's played over 300 NBL games, and he's lathered in sweat there. Just 7 points. And like James Crawford, he stood the test of time. Over a decade in the league. The scoreline here, Geelong are down by 2. 60 plays 58. So the Cats with some pressure now. Here's Crawford, normally pretty good from that range. Geelong do it well out of defence. This is Exham, wants to take on Torrance with a layup. Well done, Torrance. Grace cleans up now. The Wildcats on the break. Blahoff pulls up, denied the baseline. Fisher, the jumper from the foul line is all net.
A couple of good exchanges there from the Fish. Takes his club out to a little 4-point cushion, and I think Jim Calvin wants to talk this over.
Schwarzenegger in one of his greatest box office sensations. The adventure bigger than your imagination. Total Recall, soon.
G'day, Steve.
G'day, Jono.
Good to see you today.
I was in the area. I thought I might drop in for a coffee.
No worries.
How have you been keeping?
Good.
The Wildcats are in town for some kids' clinics. Thought we might invite them over to have a look at a mining operation.
Yeah, great. Young bloke would love that.
Okay, then I'll organise it. Thanks a lot for coming, Andrew. We really appreciate it, mate.
No worries. All right, kids. Let's go and do some slam dunks.
Yeah! Every day's a brand new experience, different every way.
Love those new wedges.
Chicken treat, we got 320 special, different every day. Monday.
Pretty cool for only $3.20.
This is a great deal.
Wednesday.
That's a 320 special.
Thursday and Friday, 320 special. Barbecue.
Every day's my day.
For the West Best barbecue chicken taste. Chicken treat the place. I got the taste.
And there's the Geelong Supercats bench. They're giving a great side here tonight, down by 4 against the Wildcats, 62-58. Scott Fisher starting to get in the game.
Yeah, Fisher's made some good contributions out there. What did he have? He had 8. Well, he's come up to 10, 17 he's got now. and he's had some good contributions, but some slow ones out there with Crawford on 5 and Ricky Grace on 5, and the front wall really has not been firing from all cylinders.
Crawford and Grace pretty quiet. That'd be a worry for the Wildcats, Mike.
Yeah, it would be a little bit of a worry for the Wildcats. I just checked with Peter to see what Adrian actually had to say.
Well, Adrian really wanted to push the ball inside and to get up and down the court. He says they're walking too much. He says show some a little bit more enthusiasm. So he really wants them to pick it up.
Exum double-teamed in the corner. Warner controls it well. Morrison wants it now. Why not? With no respect, fires the three-pointer over Grace. Exum there working hard underneath, gets 2. And the game is back to a 2-point ball game. 62-60 in the key way. They kick it out to Torrance. Torrance doesn't want to put up the shot. Vlahoff thought about the 3. Low post is Fisher. They go back out to Vlahoff. Fisher's in the corner. Vlahoff double-teamed and is fouled.
Morrison's foul, be his second. Michael, it's an interesting situation at the moment for the Wildcats. I get the distinct impression that they are just in a little hiatus waiting for playoffs, and it's very difficult for them to engender the enthusiasm that's needed to put a team like this away. I mean, they cannot miss out on the playoffs, but they've got a lot to play for. So they look to me as if the club's waiting for the playoffs around the corner.
Yeah, that's a danger that you always fall into at this stage, John, and as you would well know, being a coach yourself, it's very hard to even get them up, and you can keep talking about it, but it's certainly up to the players to get, up themselves, ready to go, and they still seem a little bit flat. Pete and I were just mentioning it earlier.
Branch knocks it down for 3, and Geelong gets it within 1 now, 64-63. Fisher with 9 three-quarter time points so far. Grace from long range. That was a triple as well. 67-63. So they're trading 3-pointers in this term.
There they are. And they need to do more than that. And just coming back to that point, they're almost just off to the office going to work at the moment. They need to pick up a little more enthusiasm, a little more relish. Otherwise, clubs like Geelong can really make it very difficult because they're at the bottom of the league, nothing to lose. They can come out and throw shots up just like that. Advantage goes to the offensive player. Warner will go to the foul line.
Is that paying Geelong enough regard for the way they've worked here tonight?
Probably not, but I don't think it's a reflection on Geelong. I think it's an inward reflection to the Wildcats.
Another time out of the entertainment centre. We'll be back shortly with more.
Saturday, catch Hey Hey.
It's just a lot of fun.
The only thrill.
What a legend!
That really delivers.
It's like an adventure movie.
The duck has run amok.
This week, John Farnham and Tommy Emmanuel with guest host Shelley Strawn, 9:30 Saturday.
When it comes to diesel 4x4 one-tonners, the big choice is between Holden Rodeo and Toyota Hilux. But with 24% bigger power and 23% bigger torque, 7% bigger wheelbase, and a big 3-year factory warranty. The big choice has to be Holden Rodeo cab chassis. Petrol from $19,990 or diesel from $22,499.
Love to play my guitar, love a roll of the dice, love a woman of fire, not a maiden of ice. Love her hot like chili peppers, yeah, and cool like Old Spice.
Quality Timbers, your WA resource-backed company. If you're building or renovating, come to where the tradesmen shop. We'll help you make it. Or recommend a professional. So start with Quality Timbers. You'll get the best and still save.
And a big score in third quarter so far. 35 points combined between the Wildcats and Geelong. 67 plays 63. Here's Mike and Pete Hansen.
Yes, thanks, Pete. Just listening to Adrian Hurley, he was a little concerned with the fact that the Cats are just shooting the ball at will, getting some wide open shots. So he wants them to try and cut the supply off to both Branch and Morrison. And Peter, what about Jim Calvin?
Well, Jim wants the Supercats to keep going to the boards and keep taking it to him inside, and he's quite happy with their performance so far, so he just wants them to keep pounding it inside.
We've got Warner, the veteran, on the line, 31 years of age. It just goes to show, too, on the night, John, the NBL is still very, very even, and you've got a team second last on the ladder, nothing to lose up against the second best team, supposedly second best team in the league.
Well, you would think that if the Wildcats needed another lesson, this is it tonight. I can understand the difficulty in getting up for these remaining games, but it's only just last Sunday that they went down to the Sydney Kings, who are by all means in the bottom half of the ladder.
And we've had Geelong nearly beat Brisbane at Brisbane, and last week this team, the Supercats, beat Canberra as well, so pretty tough. Fisher has had a great third quarter, not that time. And the defensive forward to the smallest man in the NBL. What is he, 174 centimetres?
174 centimetres, short or tall, any way you like to look at it, but he's been a great player in the NBL as well.
Branch with the left hand, went for three. He's pointing the finger at someone. Grace is away down the floor now with his left hand. That shot is short, and for the second time Larkins brings down the D-board. And now they go to Morrison with the alley-oop. The intention there, it didn't come off, and the crowd are getting involved now. 67-64. They realise the home team will have to earn victory tonight. Grace to Fisher. Vlahov won't shoot over Borna. The bounce pass inside to Fisher. No call in there, and the board taken down by Borna.
Nice little pick and roll from Vlahov to Fisher there. Deserved a better fate than the left hand that rimmed out. I think one of the most disturbing situations for me at the moment is Ricky Grace. Ricky Grace is a key. Wildcats play well when Grace picks up 16 points maybe and about 7 or 8 assists, but he looks flat to me tonight. And on the other end of the score, the littlest man out there is doing it all from three-point range.
Well, he's stopping Grace and he's getting points as well, Larkins. He's gone to 13, and this ball game is tied up at 67 apiece. Who would have thought this was possible? Vlahov backs his way to the bucket. Doesn't get the roll. They dispute the rebound, and they call a jump.
Well, if ever Andrew Vlahov had to pull out a captain's game, it has to be tonight. Those two men in picture, the head coach and assistant coach for the Wildcats, they're concerned right now. The spark is not there. Vlahov with a great second effort for the board. Ricky Grace sits down for the Wildcats.
You've got to respect Geelong's effort here, Mike.
Oh, you certainly do. Geelong are a very, very good side, and we said this earlier, Peter, they're a danger team. You just can't afford to sort of be slack against these guys. They've got some great firepower out there, and they want to win just as much as anybody else.
They're doing some of the blue-collar work, working in the trenches, and that's what Pete Hansen was famous for.
I think I can relate to that.
Here's Watterson. 4:24 left in the third quarter. Love had the ball stripped away, and Geelong come up with an important possession.
A little bit of contact out there too as Vlahov went round, a little bit of a cork in the thigh. Vlahov looks frustrated at the moment. He can't quite understand why the momentum's not going his way. 67 apiece, Michael. 4 minutes to go before three-quarter time. Low score.
It is a low score, and especially for Geelong, who are notorious for scoring big points. You know, the defense isn't too bad. A little bit sus, wasn't it, Pete?
Yeah, a little extra step.
Morrison for another throw, and he's got that one. From Wellington Street. And now he's gone to 21, and Geelong have grabbed a three-point lead. Thank you very much. 70-67. Morrison 21 in the game, 3 from 5 from outside, but that's his first points for the third quarter.
That's right, and it's well buried in the net. Interesting, Peter, to pick up the two benches. The Wildcats are rather sombre, sitting there. Geelong can sense a little sniff of a change of momentum and a chance here, and they're up that man in picture. He's quite happy, and why wouldn't he be?
These two teams very much a team of opposites. The Wildcats with a 17-4 record this year. Geelong 4-17. Wildcats in second place on the ladder. Torrance, the turnaround jumper. They needed that. Perth, they got it back to 1 now. 70 plays 69. On the break, we've got Morrison. Double team, comes back out to the top, and Exum blocked to his path by Crawford. Now Larkins just looking to set it up. Why not give it to this man, Morrison, who gets through under the arms of Torrance. What a great move. Deserved the bucket. It didn't drop. Now Perth can bring it down the floor.
Great knifing move. He travelled sideways out there. I remember a guy used to do that all the time.
Offensive forward to Crawford, and Crawford puts it away. The Wildcats back up now by 1. 71 plays 70. You're making the point, John?
Well, I remember a guy used to play for the Wildcats would knife sideways like that all the time.
That was a long time ago, though.
Yeah, memories.
Here's Larkins. What a good game he's had. 2:49 left in the third quarter. 71 plays 70. Exum wants to take on the rookie Catalini. Tipped in by Borna.
Got the inside position, just tapped it back, and this has been the story of the evening. Whenever the Wildcats look as if they might take some momentum and ascendancy, a little individual effort from Geelong has been able to keep them in touch.
Supercats up by 1. 72 plays 71. Catalini baseline rejected by Exum. There's a foul against Exum.
Yeah, nice strong move there. Good pass inside by Watterson. Found Catalini on the short corner. That area bounded by the keyway and the baseline, and he went to work.
Mike, you might like to ask Pete what he thinks of Martin Catalini, the prospect that he will be.
Catalini, Peter, how do you think he's travelling at the moment?
Well, I think he's having a heck of a game. He's come out, he's put some inside hoops in for him, and looks fairly confident except for the line. I think I might give him some tips on free throw shooting.
Yeah, you're just the man for that.
Yeah, right.
Talk about clinics. Goodness gracious me.
72 points apiece. Catalini to 13. That's second on the Wildcat scoring sheet. Scott Fisher with 19 heads their scoring. He's got 9 in this third quarter. Morrison with a game-high 21 and Branch having a good third quarter with 18. Morrison wants to take on the Wildcats.
That'll be on Torrance.
To Barmentlow.
Good, strong move from Morrison. Then he went round Trevor as if he was standing still, and I suspect he may have been. You can see that first step, the dribble, the penetration. The foul comes from Torrance with the right hand. Wildcats gone to a zone out there with some effort now to try and contain the game of the Geelong Supercats.
This is the first year that Morrison has been in the NBL, Mike. Certainly got all the moves, hasn't he?
He has. He's a class player, and he's a certainly either way, Peter. He can step right outside, and he can shoot from long range. What do you think of Morrison so far?
I think he should be back in the NBA.
Played with the Phoenix Suns. Now, here's Watterson. Geelong are up by 2 points, 74 to 72. Torrance, low post. Crawford, the turnaround jumper off the glass. Crawford goes to 9 now, and the game once again locked up at 74 points apiece. There's the time remaining in the third quarter.
It's a good move by Crawford. I'd be getting the ball to James Crawford low in that short corner every time down the floor.
But Mentlow can't control it, and Perth.
Nothing wrong with the pass. Mentlow wasn't watching. It was a great pass by Morrison.
Calvert pacing the sidelines. Grace for 3. You're right behind that one, Michael.
Never any doubt. He shot that with confidence. He'd actually just about shot it before he caught the ball.
Grace moves to 11. The Wildcats lead by that 3 points.
Wildcats gone to a little matchup 1-3-1 zone here.
Here's Morrison. Gets rid of Grace. Doesn't get the roll. Defensive board pulled down by Fisher. Fisher's on the break. Watterson back to Fisher from short range. Normally nails those. Gets his own offensive board back. Now Grace from the line. Gets 2. It counts, and he'll go to the line for the bonus. So Grace swinging the game the Wildcats' way with 2 plays.
Well, took a little inspiration from Grace there as he came down and nailed the long 3-pointer. Then he decided to push off, go in. Got a nice touch shot that came down. He's fairly happy with that, and he's been quiet so far, Ricky Grace. That's his 13th point. Has 8 assists to go with it, 5 boards. But he's certainly been the recipient on the end of a lot of defensive pressure, and Larkins is doing that again tonight. So he's been a little bit quiet. He needs to pick up the tempo.
Inside the final minute of the third quarter. The Wildcats lead by 5 at half-time. They led by 3. Larkins. Watterson comes out. Branch to the corner. Morrison, the fake. Kick back out. That's a Geelong ball off the hands of Watterson.
Michael, this little match-up zone that the Wildcats are really giving those pair in picture a few problems out there as the Wildcats put pressure on the ball and have that little diamond effect, making a little diamond with the keyway.
Morrison for 3, Mike.
My God, that was from a long way out.
From the commentary position.
The guy was sitting next to Ansel.
I can't see that far, and he was shooting from down there, but then I'm blind, so, you know, maybe that's some compensation.
Probably explains some of your shooting this year.
Yeah, probably. Pete's agreeing with you there, John. But I think they really need to get the ball out of Morrison and Branch's hands. Morrison especially. If they can deny him the ball, then he can't do as much.
Fisher, with 5 seconds remaining, draws the foul against Morrison. He's pointing to Morrison.
It goes on Morrison. There's no doubt that Fisher played it smart, went through. Morrison comes up with what is his third foul, and that should put Fisher in there for a one-on-one. I don't think they'll pay him the continuation. Let's see. Yep, they have. They're giving him the 2.
Fisher, who hit 30 points the last time these two teams met, has been very much the benchmark for imports in the league, and he's very good from the line, Scott Fisher, 90%. And that's the third best in the league. So you can count on Fisher, unlike Pete Hansen. No, I'm only joking, Pete. Pete was pretty handy from the line when he used to shoot with his eyes closed.
I thought so.
We've got 5 seconds left. In the quarter, Larkins falls to ground, and there's the buzzer. The hooter goes off for three-quarter time, and the Wildcats turn for home, 5 points up. 81 plays 76.
Tuesday, TV's most controversial program returns. Sex, the series.
I dare you.
We uncover the bare facts about nudity.
Golly.
Explore the intimate art of the kiss with Craig McLaughlin.
Right, cut there, will we?
Discover passion
Nearly every night.
in the golden years.
Nearly on Monday, nearly on Tuesday.
Stories to educate, amuse and inform.
If you'll just excuse me for a few minutes.
Sex returns with new host Pamela Stevenson. Sex, 11:30 Tuesday on GWM.
It begins with the gentle turn of a key and becomes a passion for performance, combining superior design and exceptional engineering with the prestige of a limited edition four-wheel drive. HSV Jackaroo V6, a very special vehicle.
Hey, thinking about camping out? Then you'll need one of these. No, one of these, a Jolly Swag. There's a Jolly Swag to suit everyone. They're all canvas, heavy-duty waterproof canvas, and with comfortable long-lasting mattresses, you get a good night's sleep. Jolly Swags are rugged zips, studs, buckles, and straps. So for singles or doubles, go waltzing Matilda with a Jolly Swag. Only where they sell good outdoor gear. Ask for a Jolly Swag. You beauty.
Pelican Point Stage 1 is now selling. The Southwest's most prestigious new address. Just 3 kilometres from the Bunbury city centre. The Sanctuary will offer a world-class residential and resort complex centred around an 18-hole golf course. With only 100 home sites available in the golf course estate, these blocks simply won't last. So come home to the Sanctuary, the place to be. Contact Byron Stanley Real Estate in Bunbury today.
Southern Sound and Mad Marty Surfwear doing it together. Mad Marty's have got all the happening surf gear of the season. New arrivals regularly with the best labels, best range and definitely the best prices on all surf clothing, ladies wear, kids gear, wetsuits and accessories, along with Southern Sound, Albany's #1 music superstore. Offer the best selection of CDs and cassettes in the Southwest. There's something for everyone, along with accessories galore. So for all surf and sound, head no further than Mad Marty Surfwear and Southern Sound, the ultimate experience.
And this game is set up for what should be a very interesting finish. A quarter to play, the Wildcats lead by 5, 81-76. At quarter time, Perth were up by 9. At the half, there was just 3 points in it. And now, as I say, at three-quarter time, a 5-point ball game, 81-76.
Yes, big effort from Scott Fisher there with an 11-point quarter. Ricky Gracie came out with 8 points that quarter, and they must really come out with far more intensity. Leading by 5, final quarter of 12 minutes basketball. You've got some very good shooters against you. They need to come out and stamp some authority on this game.
Interestingly enough, John, what Adrian Hurley was trying to do is he's changing some defences, he's changing offences around. He's trying to find a spark that can get the Wildcats going. And Peter, what did Jim have to say?
Oh, Jim said he just wanted the guys to take one trip at a time, and he says they're still in it and not to panic.
Here's Crawford, turnaround jumper. Be handy if they can get the first bucket of the last quarter. Now Morrison fell heavily. How's he moving? He's still a
little gingerly out there. He had a very heavy fall just after that tap. There's a lot of pressure on Morrison here. Michael, being an ex-shooter as you are, I'm sure you'll understand when I say that I think Morrison's going to take the ball and shoot it every time he gets it.
Blahoff off on the break. The assist came from Fisher. We saw a couple of floor wipers scamper off the court, but the 2 count, and that's the first score of the last quarter, 83-76. Important points to start the final turn, Mike, for the Wildcats.
Yeah, that's what they need to do. They need to put that defensive intensity on and get the pressure up on the Cats, make them cause some turnovers, and then run the ball up the floor.
Hurley dancing up and down, has a look up, sees the team up by 7. There's Scott Fisher up against a former North Melbourne Giant teammate, Ray Borner.
Yeah, they won't exchange anything but aggression out there as this ball goes down inside to Larkins. Larkins finds Morrison on the left-hand side. It was too strong that way. Another Geelong ball. Wildcats persisting with their zone. 1-3-1 zone, putting Grace on the baseline.
Eric Watterson out there with Ricky Grace. Torrance is sitting down. They've gone with their 3 big men, Blahoff, Fisher and Crawford. Now Branch goes to Exum, who had a very good third quarter. Back out to Morrison. Morrison on the drive. Oh, what an assist that was. Well, great pass anyway. Counts as an assist now. Or is that a charge against Branch?
Offensive foul against Branch.
Doesn't count in the 2, but what a clever pass behind the back of the head.
Just swept it across. Now Grace with good position on the baseline. Helps it a little bit with the dive, but got the benefit of the call.
It's a handy call for the Wildcats then. We've played just over a minute in the final quarter. Blahoff to Fisher. Baseline, looking to make the reverse layup, and this will be a jump ball between Exum and Crawford.
Fisher went low on the baseline, got the return pass and went low. Looked to dish it off, couldn't find it. Crawford did well against Exum. Well, what's the bet here on this jump, Michael?
Oh, well, I don't think you'd have too many odds on Exum here, mate.
Well, here we go.
Well, Crawford's lost a jump tonight. He's got that one down. We may have another jump. No, Blahoff got the ball free, stolen by Morrison, who couldn't control it, right on the Geelong bench.
Luck's a fortune, isn't it? Morrison's on the floor again, made a great effort, just couldn't control that ball.
What a good steal it was, though. And now Watterson about to inbound, and Jim Calvin can see the funny side of it, with his team down by 7. Now Fisher can see some space. Goes to Crawford in the face of Exum. Crawford on the drive, and that's a great move from the big fella.
Yeah, he's very dangerous from that baseline position, particularly with the right hand as the outside hand. Took the drive very well.
Crawford to 11 and the Wildcats to a 9-point lead. Now Branch forced to back away.
Branch has been quiet this quarter.
Another steal to Blahoff. How many's that tonight for Blahoff, John, as we see Grace go down to the floor? Watterson.
4 steals.
Here's Fisher. Big block by Borner. And now Larkins. Larkins has got Grace to beat. On the dribble. He brings it back down. And Warner very slow to come down the floor. Gives it to Morrison.
Good defensive adjustment. Grace came out and took the ball, put Watterson on the baseline. Larkin pulls the trigger from beyond 3-point range. Takes the ball to the corner. Back to the man, Morrison.
And Morrison with 23 points, but he did have 18 to half-time. Here's Borner. Now Larkins fancies his chances for 3. Missed everything except the backboard. And Crawford comes up with it. The outlet pass brilliantly controlled by Watterson. Crawford to Grace. Grace gets his own board back and puts it down for 2. It doesn't count.
Well, we've got a side ball situation here. Let's see if we can pick it up for you. No bucket.
Well, the crowd not liking that, Mike.
Well, I've got to agree with them really on that one, Peter. You know, there was a foul underneath on Doggy for sure, but it wasn't against Grace. You know, it was against Crawford. Had no bearing on the shot whatsoever.
Should possibly have been the 2 points count and the Wildcats ball from the side.
A couple of big calls by the refs at both ends of the court. Watterson to Fisher. Great pass to Blahoff, who is cutting for the keyway. The Wildcats away now to a 11-point lead. We've got a timeout called by Jim Calvin. 9:10 left in the final quarter. It's 87-76.
From the master of suspense, Stephen King, the year's most nerve-shattering thriller, Oscar winner Kathy Bates with James Caan, Misery Soon.
WA secondary agricultural schools and colleges prepare young men and women for employment in agriculture, natural resource management and allied industries. Agricultural College graduates can continue on to Muresk Institute of Agriculture to undertake associate diploma and degree courses in agribusiness, marketing and farm management. Agricultural education, the pathway to a satisfying way of life.
The latest Hoover Permasteel washers are so well built. They have all steel tops, all steel sides, and a cast iron 2-year parts and labour warranty. Don't you just love it?
Hoover, built to outlast.
Adrian Hurley making all the moves. Beside him, assistant coach Dave Hancock. We've played nearly 3 minutes in the final quarter. The Wildcats have skipped away to an 11-point lead. Geelong, though, more importantly, haven't scored in the final quarter yet.
They haven't scored, and that is the reason for the imbalance. The thing that's impressed me about the Wildcats since three-quarter time, well, since half-time, if we go back a little bit further, they've only got 18 turnovers. Remember, they had 14 at half-time, so they've protected the ball fairly well, but they've gone inside with the ball. They've played the power game.
Jim Calvin called that timeout, Michael.
Yeah, Jim's worried about the zone. I think the Wildcat zone has done a great job now. They're taking bad shots, and they're starting to run now, so I think you see a better Wildcat squad right now.
Another defensive stop by the Wildcats, and Geelong labour on 76. Wildcats up by 11. Here's Crawford, who's starting to rise to the occasion. That'll be against Borner, I fancy.
He can only rise as far as Ray Borner would let him. There's no doubt that Ray decided he wasn't going to go any further. Let's watch it for you on replay. Borner comes across, and there's no doubt that Crawford realised what it was all about.
And Crawford on the line then. The Wildcats, the best team from the foul line, John, but not so much tonight. Not so good tonight.
They've been averaging almost 80% as a team, which is absolutely excellent. And they're down to 62, is it, for the night? So they'd be, they're 8 from 13. They haven't taken a lot of shots from the foul line, but they'd be disappointed 10% down on this season's average.
That second doesn't drop for Crawford. So Geelong now faced fair and square with a challenge. They trail by 12, but been very courageous so far tonight, and we've got a call in there. I think it'll be against Crawford.
Yeah, it comes against James Crawford. But there's no doubt, Michael, this zone is working, and Hurley's used it throughout the year. He'd be happy with its effectiveness because it's shut down Morrison. I mean, Morrison hasn't scored since three-quarter time.
Yeah, it has. It's done a good job in that respect, and it's just starting to force the Supercats into a few errors, which is what the Wildcats, and there's another one almost, the Wildcats are capitalising on.
Well, Branch knocked in a big three-pointer, and that gives the scoreline 88-79 then, a 9-point game. Branch to 21. Here's Crawford, who's been strong so far in this final quarter, and Crawford has raced to 14. He's given the Wildcats an 11-point lead. In this quarter, John Crawford has hit, 5 points already. Had 9 till three-quarter time, now to 14.
Interesting, we might pick it up for you next time down. Mike, give me a hand, have a look at this. I suspect maybe Geelong's gone to a bit of a box and one, or a triangle and one out there on defence. Looks to me like Larkins is trailing Grace, trying to keep him out of the ball game, and they're zoning up around the outside of the keyway.
Well, actually, John, they've been changing their defences quite a lot, and one of the defences actually is Larkin starting at the top, and he just follows Grace wherever he goes. So it's pretty much like a box and one.
Another Geelong turnover, and will the Wildcats make the Supercats pay? Grace from close range on the left hand, and now we've got a 13-point margin, 92-79, and all of a sudden, John, the big guns of the Wildcats starting to come to the fore.
Starting to get a few points. I mean, that was a super athletic shot from Grace, but by gee, took it very early, Mike.
He did take it early. Fellas, there's Blahoff, the pickpocket again for tonight, but I don't know. Peter, what do you reckon? It looks to me like Morrison's really hurt because he's not really moving all that well, is he?
It looks like he's getting tired out there. They're making him work for his shots, and the Supercats need to take a timeout, but they only got one left, so you gotta wait for the TV timeout.
We don't have one in this last quarter, Pete. It's 92-81, an 11-point margin. Having a look at Andrew Blahoff, Mike, 6 steals tonight.
Yeah, well, that's what he said. He's pickpocketing. He's got his hands into everything there, so I'll just have to watch my wallet after the game, I think.
Blahoff from close range gets another 2.
It's another good movement from the top of the key. Whenever they penetrate the ball, they finish up with that high-low offense, almost a 1-3-1 alignment with a triangle on either side of the keyway and the apex on the foul line. They've been extremely dangerous, and I can't remember them taking many outside shots. Maybe Grace has taken a couple in this quarter, but most of their pressures come from the inside.
And I can't recall at any stage of this game the Wildcats leading by as many as 13, and that's the margin at the present time. And they forced another turnover. So Geelong have managed just 5 points so far in this last quarter. Crawford from close range. Will it drop? No. Comes back out to Watterson. Watterson, the no-look pass to Vlahoff, who fires for three. That's all meant, and it could be good night Geelong.
Well, the momentum has swung 97 to the Wildcats. They're a good 16 points up on Geelong now, and we're halfway through the final period.
Vlahoff, 9 points alone in this final quarter. Branch for three. Exum offensive board off the glass. The shot is good. 97-83, John. That's still a 14-point margin.
Sure. That's the first inside rebound and inside shot that Geelong have got this quarter.
5.5 minutes left in the game. They went for Grace, then the pass from Watterson. Now, Scott Fisher, John, let's have a look at the printout on Scott Fisher.
Well,
he went close to a triple-double a few weeks ago. He was one assist short for memory. Now, what about tonight?
Well, he's done well. He's got 21 points. He's finished up with 8 assists. He has 9 rebounds, so he needs 2 assists and 1 rebound to get a triple-double.
And there's a couple to Morrison, who's gone to 25. 12-point game, and we've got a timeout called by Adrian Hurley. Just over 5 minutes left in the final term. 97 plays 85 at the Entertainment Centre.
Saturday, Don Burke enters the Lion's Cage with television's legendary entertainer, Tommy Hanlon Jr.
Don Burke doesn't know what a tree is.
Also building a garden path and great gardening tips. New Era Aluminium presents Burke's Backyard.
Western Australian owned and operated WestTrac. We're a powerful team. With an ongoing investment in apprenticeship training, WestTrac employs 59 apprentices, the largest number in private enterprise, and dedicated to building future careers for Western Australian youth. WestTrac, a powerful team.
Just over 5 minutes left in the game. Adrian Hurley talking the Wildcats. 97-85, 12-point game, and Geelong now faced with the challenge of coming back.
Well, strategic timeout from the Wildcats. They want to go on with it. I know it's overstating the obvious. They want to go on and build on this. It maybe has given Calvin Prom, the Supercats, a chance to reorganise and look what he can do. And already you can see a change in the defence out there, or is it? No, they just stopped the penetration. They're back into their zone.
Watterson, where will he go to Fisher, who fires for 2. Catalini working hard. Fisher gets it back again. Does that count as a rebound? He's got 2. Now Fisher has a double-figure tally in terms of rebounds. 8 assists, so just 2 more assists, and Mikey's got a triple-double.
Not far off. He'd be happy with that. Just a couple of weeks ago, I think he was 1 assist off a triple-double. He was having a go at a few people for missing layups, so we'll see how he goes tonight.
A scrap under the bucket, and they see it as a Wildcats ball. That scoreline, 99-85, and there's the Fish. What a player he's been with the Wildcats. 25 points a game, plus 10 rebounds. And a marvellous acquisition. Watterson, one way then the other. Reject by the youngster, Barmettalo. And on the break we've got Larkins. And the big block by Grace. Helped out by Catalini at the other end. Here's Watterson, baseline with the reverse, throws up the shot. And Border drags down the board.
There'll be a foul on Fisher. Reaching across the top.
Interesting little printout on Wayne Larkins in terms of the rebound count, John.
Well, it'd be very hard to pick it, but what is he? The second leading rebounder or the third?
At one stage, yeah, he was the... No, seriously, Mike. Wayne Larkins, the smallest man in the NBL, was second in Geelong's rebound count.
Peter, what do you make of Larkins being second in rebounding for Geelong?
Well, I mean, he's a tough little guy. He likes to go at it, but I can't believe that.
Well, believe what you just saw then, because Branch hit for 3. Actually, he's had more rebounds tonight, according to our stats, than Andrew Blahoff. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Oh, here's Crawford. Down for 2. What a strong last quarter Crawford's having. 101 to 88, a 13-point game. Morrison. Warner cleans up for 2, so Geelong are sticking at it, John.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. And remember, this margin out here of what is it, 11 points, that can be gobbled up very quickly. We saw Morrison come out there and put in a 12-point quarter in the second quarter. The Wildcats have got a lot of work to do before this game's over, and right now they're looking to talk it over so that they can come back with a game plan and make sure that this last 3.5 minutes falls in their favour.
That scoreline then, 101 to 90, an 11-point game. Mike Ellis and Pete Hansen are working the sideline for us. What about the expert opinion from your corner, Mike?
Well, I don't know if we've got an expert opinion from over here. We'll just give you Peter's and mine, perhaps, Pete.
I'll go along with that.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I thought you might, John. Funny it's not coming from the other side either. But, Pete, what do you reckon at the moment? You know, Geelong are in a big hole, but they've sort of got it back to 11. It's still, you know, reasonably close.
Yeah, I mean, the Wildcats are killing them on the inside right now. James has picked up his game, and you know, I think Geelong's running out of gas right now, but you never know.
Yeah, James Crawford, John, with 7 points in the last quarter alone. And along with Ricky Grace, they've picked up the slack from half-time, and that's been a telling factor.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Let's pick up Grace for argument's sake. He has 15 points out there, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, and he's shooting at 50% from the field. Wildcats at 57%, which is an excellent shooting percentage.
What about their three-point shooting too? They lead the league in three. In fact, they're second now to Adelaide, just under 40% from them in the Wildcats, but 64% tonight, 7 from 11, and Grace is shooting at 75%.
He'd be not only happy, delirious with that, and it's a good spread too, with Fisher at 100%, Blahoff 100%, Torrance at 66%. Jim Calvin out there. He's done a very good job with this club. He had a lot of loose-fitting parts. There was a lot of problems with Geelong earlier in the year when Steve Breeny was sacked after a disagreement with Branch. He's come in and he's done a fairly good job with them. Hasn't had enough wins, but he hasn't had a lot of time on it.
We've mentioned final quarters from these players, and Andrew Blahoff's got to 22. He's got the ball now. He's hit 9 points in this last quarter. Torrance working against Morrison. Here's Crawford, and he's fouled by Exum rather crudely.
Yeah, Exum came from the weak side out there as Crawford took the right-handed dribble. Crawford was always going to take the shot. Exum came across, left Fisher, goes up now, and you can see the contact clearly on the right elbow.
James Crawford, what a player he's been. 328 NBL games, been in the league now for 12 years. He's stood the test of time, third leading all-time scorer, and he's the all-time leading rebounder, Mike Crawford. You can't really say enough about the man.
No, as you said, Peter, he stood the test of time, and, you know, the big question is if Pete Hansen had hung in there, could he have taken the rebounding crown off him?
Certainly try, but you know, James has shown that his age doesn't stop him at all.
Fisher, another rebound. He's got to 11 now. He just needs to throw out a few assists. Now Grace calling the play. Inside the final 3 minutes of the game, John, 103 to 90.
Defense, that's fine. Defense has changed now. Geelong know that they have to come out. They can't stay behind their zone. They've got to gamble. They're coming out man-to-man. Wildcats are spreading the floor, and you'll have a real spread game. And there's Blahoff as Branch returned the compliment, picked his pocket. Morrison will be fouled by Grace at the other end, and that is in Geelong's favour. The clock will stop. It's only the second, third team foul, and it will be side ball for Geelong. You can see Ricky Grace reaching, and there's no doubt about that. The only thing that Morrison didn't do was get the shot up.
And the crowd with a message there, Mike. Obviously didn't like that call.
No, they weren't too impressed with that at all, were they? They obviously want to make sure the Wildcats get up on this one.
I don't think there's any real reason for the crowd to be berating the officials, Michael. It's been a fairly well-refereed game.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, and it's not really like us, I must admit, to agree with officials, and I think the man next to me would be with that. You have to say it's a reasonable job tonight, Pete?
Yeah, coming from a man who's got makeup on, I don't know.
You leave John alone, he's all right.
Less than 2.5 minutes in the game. They chest each other, Vlahoff and Branch. He shakes away Branch. What a contest it's been. Low post, and again he wants to get rid of Branch. Plenty happening off the ball. Now Grace baseline with a shot clock inside 10. Didn't get the friendly roll. Some big bodies battle out the rebound.
Well, Andrew Vlahoff is doing his very, very best to suggest to Cliff Brett that it wasn't him, boss. There's no doubt that he'll come up with a foul.
And again, the crowd getting very vocal.
Well, there's no doubt. You can see it on replay.
Oh, the judo chop to the back of Borna's head.
A little one to the back of the neck.
Very physical, Andrew Vlahoff. What about that incident on Sunday last with the man mountain of the Sydney Kings, Dean Utah?
Well, a little bit of payback, a little bit of evening up, and that happens in these ball games. Exum, good body position, held Crawford back, was able to take the ball to the bucket. Brings up 92 points for Geelong, and they're trailing by 11 as the Wildcats have got 103.
Andrew Vlahoff. John, another call against Vlahoff?
Well, talking about evening up, Michael, at the other end of the floor.
No, that was actually a foul on Adrian Branch.
Right.
I think you'll find, gentlemen, as Jeff Weeks actually berating with Branch, not happy with him doing that. I think it looked like a little bit of an ankle tap to me.
Yeah. Branch is just slowing down just a touch. He's going across to suggest that's okay. Morrison's now talking about a bang. Well, a little bit of trouble. I suspect that Morrison's having a little difficulty hearing out of his left ear.
So we've got the captain on the line then. 22 tonight. 22 points, that is. Goes to 23. And now with a 12-point margin, we've got 1:42 left in the game.
I think there's a solid comment by Andrew there.
Yeah, Vlahoff's gone across and returned the favour to Branch. Suggested that it was on Branch.
Subtle as a sledgehammer.
Meanwhile, it's got out to 13 point. What's happening off the ball? They want to be a bit careful with just a minute and a half to play.
Fair amount of trash being spoken at either end of the floor. Now, you two guys on the sideline would know all about talking trash.
Not me. I'd never do a thing like that, but I tell you what, this bloke next to me is just full of it.
I think I picked up all my tips from Mike, though.
A 3 by Morrison makes it interesting. Back to 10. And Morrison goes to 31. 105 to 95. Minute 19 left, so time the enemy for Geelong at the present time. Crawford at the top. Great pass to Vlahoff. Vlahoff still at it. They exchange words as they come down the floor. Here's Exum with a drive, and he's drawn a foul against Fisher.
Fisher just glibly put 2 forearms out and said, sorry, you cannot get through there. No
Cecil
doubt.
Exum, John, 15 points, but he's been very good from half-time onwards.
Yes, he's had a quiet game, I think, Peter. We've seen him play some explosive roles with Geelong. A little quiet out there, but I think you must give some credit to the defence of the Wildcats. They've been able to shut him down inside, and he rarely has gone outside.
What about this comment from Adrian Hurley in the paper during the week, John? He said that we haven't celebrated our wins nor mourned our losses this season. That was in reaction to the 2-game road trip where they lost, and Morrison has connected Vlahoff then. Morrison's close to being fouled out of this game. Not quite.
That's his fourth.
Only his fourth. What about this comment from Hurley then? We haven't celebrated our wins nor mourned our losses this season because that breeds an emotional team and results in a roller coaster season. What did you make of that?
Well, I think it's a fairly astute comment, and he's really referring to the fact that he doesn't want emotion to be necessary for his wins, and he doesn't want it to interfere with the next game. And I think you can see this. It maybe belies the situation when you look at Vlahoff, Morrison and Branch in the last couple of seconds, but the game, to all intents and purposes, is over. But the emotion has been taken over. It's been a clinical appraisal by Hurley, and he's really saying that they'll do their work from game to game, and each game will be different.
What about your thinking on that, Mike, keeping the lid on things?
Well, I tend to agree, but Peter, the thing is, it's not the emotions during the game. It's the emotions after the game and your reactions to the wins and losses. You know, I mean, Vlahoff's certainly shown some serious emotions tonight.
We're inside the final minute, and Adrian Hurley's called a timeout. 47 seconds left in the game.
I think if you talk about that emotion, Peter, Blahoff is playing against two tough cookies out there in Morrison and Branch, both with NBA experience, and both of those players wouldn't like the position that they find their club in. They know that Blahoff's been trying hard and he's had a big effect upon this game. He's got 28 points, he's got 7 rebounds, 8 assists, and they aren't prepared to let that go unnoticed. I'm all in favour of Blahoff out there really retaliating somewhat. But coming back to Michael's point of view, there is no doubt that the Wildcats could have fallen into the abyss of feeling sorry for themselves, bemoaning the tactics, but they haven't. In this game, they've got back on track. And I think Blahoff might just be enjoying himself.
Big performance from Blahoff when it counted 2, Mike. He's got 28 at the present time, but to half-time he had just 10, so he's had an 18-point second half.
Yeah, he's certainly come to the fore in the second half, and hey, that's what captains are about. You know, the game was on the line, so he really had to come out and do a job. He's done that. I think you're right. He's certainly having fun with what's going on. But John, I'd just like to move to Pete, but firstly thank him for tonight's effort. And what are your thoughts just quickly on the game and the MVP?
Well, I think it's an easy one. I think Andrew did a great job, and I'll give him the MVP, Blahoff.
Okay, John, what about your own thoughts here? And there's Blahoff looking to control at baseline.
Well, Blahoff's had a great game, but I think Fisher's been equally as good. I don't know how you split them up because they've both had a big impact upon this game.
Well, Fisher needs 1 assist. He's a chance here. He's given it to Blahoff. I reckon they've talked about that in the timeout, Mike. I'd say that someone's... Is he okay, Blahoff?
I think he's okay. He's got 1 across the bridge of the nose, and even though Geelong have put up the white flag as they've made mass substitutions, what have we got out there? You can see it coming through now. Blahoff gets the ball. Well, it's not so bad, is it? It's just been a clip across the bridge of the nose from Blahoff. He should be okay.
Might have just tweaked his neck a bit there, John.
Yeah.
He looked like he sort of hit hard. Now, this is interesting too because that pass from Fisher, Blahoff's going up for the shot. He's going to have foul shots. If he gets 2 shots, that means it was a shooting foul, and if he makes 1 of them, he'll get credited with an assist.
Right.
So
that will be his triple-double then.
Will you very well be?
Will you race across and tell the statisticians?
Of course. Hey, I can tell you all about assists. I make sure they get them down there, I'll tell you.
Interestingly enough, Andrew Blahoff has been subbed out. Catalini, the substitute, takes the foul shots.
Well, the pressure on the rookie, so Fisher doesn't get his 10 assists. Crawford battling hard. Fisher, I think, from behind tipped that in.
I wonder if that was an assist to Catalini as he missed that shot.
Well, we've got 25 seconds left in the game. It's 111 to 96. This is Terpstra.
Terpstra on the floor, Smith on the floor. Larkin's the only one there from the original 5. Sperling's on the floor as well. And Barmentlu. So certainly, whilst it's been late coming and they had a chance, and why wouldn't they keep their better players there? Right now they're resting their better players, Geelong that is, for the game in Adelaide tomorrow night.
Hank Terpstra. First time we've seen him tonight. They call him Hankster, John.
Hankster?
You wouldn't want to get that mixed up with gangster, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
Young man. Just played 4 NBL games.
100% from the foul line tonight.
We're down to 17 seconds then. All eyes on Fisher. He'll no doubt look for the best option. Goes to Grace, who goes for 3, and that's 10 assists for Scott Fisher.
That's an assist.
Double. Well, they worked that out pretty well. I think they were working on that for the last few seconds. Grace, the outlet pass. Crawford, can he beat the buzzer? No, it doesn't count. Just after the buzzer. And the final scoreline here with the Wildcats winning by 16 points. 114 to 98. Spectacular way to finish. It was a pity it was a split second too late.
Just a little too late, but it had the mark of the game, didn't it? Right at the finish, and there's the triple-double coming up, that pass. Double digits in 3 statistical categories to Scott Fisher.
Scott Fisher, 23 points, 10 assists and 13 rebounds. But we're standing by now to talk to the Wildcats captain, Andrew Blahoff.
Yeah, Andrew, well, listen, firstly, a little bit of a lackluster start to the game, but you started to get on track in the second half.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're just getting rid of last week's performance, and we shrugged it off, and yeah, we come good in the second half.
Well, you know, not only did you come good playing-wise, but you came good in voice also. Are you and Adrian having a little tete-a-tete there?
Yeah, just a bit of, conversation. I was just checking out how he was in college and everything like that, how he's been going off the court. But, mate, it's all in the spirit of the game. Leave it on court and, well, I'll have a swan goal with him after the game.
Yeah, well, that's the way to do it. Listen, Fish, from our records, looks like he might have cracked the triple-double tonight.
Yep, that last pass to Ricky was the 10th assist for the night. He played fantastic, just a great all-round effort.
All right, well, that was a good one out of the way. It was a danger game for you guys tonight, but you come through it. Illawarra next week. They'll be very, very tough.
Yeah, if this week was a danger game, next week looms very dangerously. I believe they beat the Bullets tonight. So, they're on a roll. We just got to come back and play strong again.
All right, mate, I'll let you go and get a drink. Well done. Congratulations for all those people that were going to watch the game tonight. You now know the result. Back to you, Peter.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. The final scoreline here, though, 114-98. We'll take a break and then wrap up shortly.
Saturday, catch Hey Hey.
It's just a lot of fun.
The only thrill.
What a legend!
That really delivers.
It's like an adventure movie.
The duck has run amok.
This week, John Farnham and Tommy Emmanuel with guest host Shelley Strawn, 9:30 Saturday.
Whatever you require, from a household pressure system to a farm water supply, submersible or industrial pumps, Southern Electrics can show you the benefits of Grundfos. Assembled and built in Australia, Grundfos pumps are made of stainless steel and are backed by a 2-year warranty. Southern Electrics also provide a fully equipped workshop with pump testing facility and spare parts to ensure that you can buy with confidence. Southern Electrics Albany and Grundfos pumps. Simply superior.
And back at the Entertainment Centre to wrap up. And Scott Fisher, one of the stars tonight, with his second triple-double in the NBL. What a clever assist behind the back to Grace, who did the right thing and nailed the three-pointer. The Wildcats in the end winning by 16 points, 114-98. I'm joined by Mike Ellis and John Gardner. Firstly to you, John, Wildcats really warmed to the task, I thought, in the last quarter.
They certainly did. The last quarter effort was just what they needed. They struggled up to then, and you must give credit to Geelong. Wildcats came home behind a strong 15-point last quarter from Andrew Blaha.
And Mike, the Wildcats are building an imposing home court record this year. That's 10 in a row at home now.
Yeah, it's a good effort, and as we've mentioned many times before, Peter, the first game of the season was the one they lost, so, they've certainly hurt from that and learnt some good lessons.
And, John, some of the Wildcats' big guns, a little bit indifferent early on in the game, but the longer the game went, the better they got.
They did, and they'd be happy with the fact that they were able to combat that zone that Geelong threw up. Geelong followed the suit of many clubs these days, played a zone against the Wildcats, and they were able, the Wildcats that is, to get inside and be very, very effective.
Catalini and Blahoff combining there. What about Catalini's game, Mike?
Catalini had a great game. He actually came on and sparked the Wildcats in his little stint. I think he was leading all scorers for the Wildcats up to half-time. So, that was a great effort for the young fella and bound to give him a lot of confidence.
And Grace strong in the last quarter.
Yeah, Grace is someone that, the Wildcats certainly need to be firing, and he did in the last quarter when it counted.
Lack of numbers told against Geelong in the end.
Yes, and interestingly enough, the Wildcats were able to get over the ton at 114 points, first time they've been there for some time.
This goes to the game quarter by quarter. The Wildcats led by 9 at quarter time, 3 at the half. It was in the balance at three-quarter time, just 5 points in it. But in the end, the Wildcats finishing powerfully, winning 114-98. A margin of 16 points early in the year. They beat Geelong by 17. Guys, what about these stats?
Well, let's talk about the shooting percentage. The Wildcats would be very happy with that, as they would be from three-point range, even though they only took 8 to 11 shots from the Supercats. And if we go back to the one that interests me most, was the turnovers. Remembering the Wildcats had 14 at half-time, Mike, and they were very much protective of the ball in the second half.
They were. They handled the ball a lot better, and I suppose the only disturbing, fact there would be the free throws. 66% down on what they're shooting for the season, and the Supercats, 72 is not bad, but 45 was down scoring-wise.
Through to the individual scorers then. Firstly, the Wildcats, Andrew Vlahoff, powerful second half to finish with an equal game high 28. Fisher got 23, Crawford 20. He was strong when it counted. Grace 18 and Martin Catalini, that's a career high 13 in the NBL.
great effort for Martin, and he'll be very, very happy with that, and as will Adrian Hurley, to know that he can come off the bench and do a job like that.
They've been looking for another scorer. Torrance has been supplying it for part of the year. They need another one.
For Geelong, Morrison 28, Branch 26. And then it falls away after that. Exham got 16, Larkins 13, and Warner 13. As for the battle of the boards, it was early one-way traffic, but Geelong balanced it out a bit later in the game.
Yeah, I think early on there was a huge advantage to the Wildcats, and they squandered that. But with Fisher and Crawford leading the way, they had a great dominance, and I think that was very evident tonight. The front wall of the Wildcats were very much to the fore.
On to the assist, Mike. This is your category, and a double figure for Scott Fisher.
Big one, and nice way to finish it off, Pete. A little behind the back pass to Ricky Grace, and I'll tell you, that was a tough shot Ricky nailed too.
Sure.
So it was
pressure was on, wasn't it?
It was, and he did his mate proud, that's for sure. And of course, Grace had 8 of his own, and then we went down to a few down the bottom. But Morrison, I thought he made some sensational passes earlier in that game, John.
He did, particularly on the break.
Yeah.
And Geelong have got a history this year of not sharing the ball, and that's illustrated by that breakdown. Morrison 8, and then virtually regardless the rest. Mike, take us through the individual scorers.
All right, well, if we have a look at Scott Fisher first, the big triple-double, 23 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists. The rest doesn't matter. You know, 1 block, 3 steals. 3 steals is a good effort on any night. So he just had a great overall performance. He really did. Morrison, I thought, for the Cats had a good game also. 28 points, 5 boards, 8 assists. You know, he dished the ball out, and I think he was struggling towards the end.
I was going to make the point, Michael. He had 23 points to three-quarter time, had a heavy knock just after the quarter started, really went quiet.
Yeah, he just didn't look like he was getting up and down the floor at all. But let's have a look at Andrew Vlahoff, the trash talker for the evening.
What about that last quarter?
Yeah, look at that.
Last quarter.
6, 4, 3, and then 15 in the money time, and just did a really good job there. 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He wouldn't be all that impressed with those numbers.
And that could be the turning point for Vlahoff, who was going through a flat period that last quarter of this game tonight.
Well, I think it's the manner in which he stepped up, and they certainly need him to continue doing that. You could see his frustrations throughout the game.
Yeah, and let's have a look at Adrian Branch, who was the recipient of some of that trash, and no doubt gave oodles himself. He had a pretty good game by his standards, 26 points, which is right on his season average, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Didn't think he did a whole lot more other than his points. You know, I think they need him to do more than just that.
That's been the criticism of him throughout his career.
That's all we have time for from the Entertainment Centre. That final scoreline has seen the Wildcats comfortable 16-point winners against Geelong. Until next time, it's good night.
There's no denying that our guys are hot. Set in the corner, doing it right, making the big shots, keeping the game tight. Our guys are hot. They're coming to get you, ready or not. Our guys are hot. Our guys are hot. Give me 10. Give me 10. Give me 10. Setting the court on fire. You say what? You better believe that. Our guys are hot. They're coming to get you, ready or not. Our guys are hot. Our guys are hot. Give me 10. Our guys are hot.
This NBL telecast, proudly presented by West Track Equipment, Country Holden dealers proudly sponsoring WA Sports, and Chicken Treats.
I got the taste.
You have been summoned to appear before Her Majesty's Royal Commission. Australia's down the gurgler, and Fast Forward are looking for culprits.
Where is Mr. Keating?
There's Bill.
Last night, running out easy 16-point winners over Geelong at the Entertainment Centre, Andrew Vlahoff, Scott Fisher and James Crawford were the Cats' best. For the Supercats, Mike Morrison and Adrian Branch shared the workload.
On the rebound.
The Wildcats were relishing being at home last night, and like so often this season, James Crawford was right amongst it.
It's a great start, of course.
Mike Morrison was tough for the Supercats.
Morrison, he'll go all the way, controlled it well at the end.
But the running game of the home side was hurting their opposition. They led by 9 at the first break.
Yes, the one-handed jam.
The Supercats turned it around though, Mike Morrison and Chris Carroll leading the charge.
Morrison from downtown, and that dropped.
They were up by 2 just before half-time, but Torrance steadied the Wildcats.
Torrance in the corner for 2. That's a handy bucket.
Early in the third, Fisher found range from outside, as did Torrance. The Wildcats gapped the Supercats for their 18th win of the season.
They go to Torrance, who's left open. This is for 3.
The Wastebreakers have missed out on back-to-back national titles today, going down by the narrowest of margins to the Sydney Flames in Sydney. The score 65-64. Nothing separated the two sides for the entire game. Annie Burgess was the difference though, with 19 points for the Flames. The Breakers had a chance to win in the dying seconds, but couldn't find the mark.
They win it! Unbelievable!
A double knockout for Sydney.
Last week we talked to some of our fans in the city. This week we're going to talk to some really animal fans. Let's go and check this out. Hi, Linda.
Oh, hey, Andrew. Just who I need.
All right, you need a hand with that?
Please.
Certainly. Oh, there you go.
That's our school's challenge poster we've just sent out to all the schools in the state.
All right, that's one of the things. Linda here is involved with the zoo. She is an administrator with the Perth Zoo Society, and as you can see, Scott and myself are involved in this school's challenge. Now, can you tell us something about that?
Let's go outside first. I've got a friend of yours waiting to talk to us.
Is that right? Okay. Well, check this out. Here I am with Barry the Snake. We don't have a name for it yet, do we, Linda? I'm with Linda Byatt, an administrator with the Perth Zoo Society. And she is the #1 Wildcats fan in Western Australia. Now, some of you out there may disagree with that, but I'll explain a little bit more later. Linda, can you tell us what you do for the zoo?
Well, it's my job to raise money for the zoo,
Right.
to help their work with endangered species.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just launching a major fundraising drive to get the money in so that we can build a rainforest and also get more animals on board the conservation program.
Linda, this school's challenge is a very important part of the Zoo Society's fundraising, isn't it? I mean, we're getting everyone in the state involved. All you kids out there at school, I hope you get involved with this fundraising program, but listen to Linda to tell us all about it.
Well, what we're doing is challenging schools not only to raise money, but to do it in such a way that they get the message about endangered species and the environment over. So,
I think this snake wants to go up the tree.
I think he does, but that's okay.
Yep.
You're tall, you can catch him. We'll be looking at the creativity, the enthusiasm, the commitment.
Barry the Snake.
And all sorts of other things like that. And there'll be a beautiful perpetual trophy awarded just before Christmas. So it's put on your thinking caps, not just money, but ideas.
This is Andrew Blahoff. We're on the prowl, and I'll see you next week.
Good evening, welcome to the net result, updating play in the R&I State Basketball League. It was a weekend of semi-final action. Let's get straight down to business and check the results. And the first of the semis is the men's one between the Cougars and the Buccaneers. It went to 3, and the Cougars have been victorious over the Pacesetter Buccaneers. In the first, the Cougars 103-88 for the Bucks. Dan Hunt with 32 points and was fouled off in that game in the final quarter. In the second game, the Bucks bounced back 104-97. Top scorer for the Bucks, Joe Rainier, with 43. And today's match in Geraldton, the Cougars convincing 30-point winners over the Buccaneers. So farewell to the Pacesetter Buccaneers for 1993. In the second semi, the Raiders and the Wolves. In the first game, the Wolves 110 defeated the Raiders 90. Williams with 29. In the second, the Raiders by 10, 95-85, bouncing back, and for the Raiders, Williams with 27. And in the third, and deciding game today in Perth, the Wolves victorious, 112-77 the Raiders. Commiserations to them, the last of the country teams out for 1993. It's an all-city grand final between the Cougars, the reigning premiers, and the Barbagallo Wolves, who should draw a big crowd. to the women's SBL. Only one semi decided, the Senators and the Wolves. The Senators winning 75-54 in the first. Now, the Wolves bounced back to win the second, but have forfeited that match due to a match rule. Apparently, they played a basketballer who was not eligible to play in the final series. So, again, they have forfeited their season. And most disappointing. In the other game, the Mustangs and the Flames. The Mustangs win 75-49. The second game will not be played until Tuesday night. Now, one would expect the Mustangs to win that at their home stadium. So the women's final will be between the Senators and the winner of the Mustangs-Flames competition. Now, the grand final is on Saturday night in Perth, the 11th. The women's game kicking off at 6 p.m, followed by the men's game at 8 o'clock. Note that it is reserved seating and tickets are available from Red Ticket outlets. So good luck to all the teams playing in the grand final series. And that's the net result for 1993. Thank you very much for your support this year, and a special thank you to Mick and Kim at Bolter's Men's.